Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of the series. So, in this part, we are not just going to be adding features, but we're also going to be making sure only authorized users can have access to our platform. So, we're going to use LoginRequiredMiddleware, that is a feature released in Django version 5.1 to keep our system safe. Next, we're going to dive deeper into our project navigation. So, we're going to use Django's powerful list view to build our dynamic list. That's going to help us showcase our project, highlight those that are close to the due date, and then display the latest team members all at a glance. But that's just the beginning. We're going to also revamp our notification system. That's going to give us the opportunity to learn how to mark notification as read, filter self-created notification, and even manage notification with custom model managers. Plus, we're going to learn how to add extra context to our project detail view to give us a deeper insight. Then we're going to get interactive with our new comment app. Here, we're going to learn how to retrieve and paginate project comments, set up custom model managers for the comments, and even display error messages when a non-team member tries to comment. Oh, and here is a bonus. Every time a comment is added, your team members are going to get notified in real time. And best of all this code is already pushed to GitHub so that you can follow along step by step. You ready? Let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome back. So if you look on our dashboard, we have latest projects and we also have projects that are near the due date. We have 4 projects that are close to the due date. All right, so prior to this video, I actually went ahead and activated 5 different terminals. The first one is going to be what is running our Django server. So we have it right here. And then the next terminal is going to be running our Redis server, and here I'm just going to run the Redis server. So we say Redis-server, and I'm going to hit on enter, and now our Redis server is running, and it's actually running on this particular port 6379. After we have run our Redis server, we're also going to have to run our celery worker. And the way we run our celery worker is going to be celery dash capital A, and we're going to give it the name of our application, and it's going to be Swift Hub, like that. And after we have provided the name of our application, we're going to do worker dash L, and after we have provided the L argument, we say info. And if you are running Linux, if you are running this on Linux or Mac OS, this is going to be enough to run your celery worker. But for those of us who are going to be running this on Windows, you're going to have to add extra argument, and that's going to be dash pool is going to be equal to solo. All right, so I'm going to hit on enter, and this is actually going to run our celery worker for us. So we wait for it to run. All right, so when I scroll up, celery is actually now running, and it has actually discovered 2 of our tasks. One for creating notification when we create a project, and then the other one is what actually notifies the team members of project that are close to the due date. All right, so now we also need to run our celery bit, and the way we run our celery bit is going to be celery dash capital A, and this time around it's not a worker, it's going to be bit. So we say bit. All right, so before I even go ahead and complete the command, let's go into our admin, and inside our admin we are saying that we actually run a notification or a task that notifies team members at this particular time, 11:27 a.m. every day. So I'm just going to go into the notification, and inside the notification I'm going to scroll down, and you see we have 62 notifications right over here. All right, so you keep notice of the number of notifications we have before we run our celery bit. So I'm just going to go back into my terminal, and I'm just going to complete it. So we say celery dash A Swift Hub, and that is the name of our project, and we're going to give it a bit. This time around it's not a worker, it's a celery bit. And after that we're going to say log level, it's going to be dash log level, and then the log level is going to be equal to info. All right, so I'm going to hit on enter, and we see what is going to happen. So I hit on enter and salary bit is actually starting. And now it has actually discovered our task. So it has actually sent the task, notify team members of tasks that are nearing the due date. It has sent the task to our Redis server. And now Redis has also actually received these tasks and is actually sending these notifications. So if you scroll up here, you're going to see a lot of notification that has actually come through. So Redis received the task, and when it received the task, it actually went ahead and then ran all these tasks. So if you look at this place, it has actually returned the name or the verb of the task, and it's actually going to be reminder the project that this is going to be due near soon. All right, so to prove that we actually have some notifications coming through, we're going to head back over to our admin, and before we had 62 notifications. Now I'm just going to refresh and see how many notifications we have right now, and it has actually moved to 83 notifications. All right. Okay, so you also see our notifications have also increased over here. So when I click on this, I have also received a notification. I could also scroll down and it's actually telling me the kind of notifications that are actually close to the due date. All right, guys, welcome back. So now there is an issue with how our system is actually set up. So this is the admin, and if you can clearly see that I have actually logged in right here, that's why you're seeing the username and then even my profile picture. But when I come into the admin and I log out like this, now I have logged out. So I'm just gonna go onto the dashboard and refresh. So when I refresh, my profile picture is gone and my name, the full name, is also gone. But what you're seeing over here is a lot of information that we are giving out for free. So this isn't a blog application. This is actually an admin dashboard we are building. And for that matter, every information has to be protected. All right. So when you come to this part, you click on notification and you are not seeing any notification. When you scroll down to notification is also not being processed. And that's because when you come into our view, so I'm going to go to account, and inside the account, I'm just going to go into the dashboard view and I'm going to scroll down. Okay. So at this point, we are making a condition that if the user is logged in, then we should show the notification. But if the user is actually not logged in, we are not going to be processing any information about the notification. But the rest of the data, we are actually giving it out whether the user is logged in or not. All right. So I'm just going to show you something by commenting out this, and then I'm just going to tap back like that. Now I'm just going to save the changes and refresh my application right here. And when I do refresh, we are just going to get an error. And the error we are getting is anonymous user has no attribute notification. And that's true because we at this point are saying request the user.notifications.onRead. So we are getting the logged in users notification. But here is the case, nobody has logged in yet, and that's why we are getting this error. I'm just going to undo the changes and then refresh the page again so that the error is going to be gone. Now we are seeing everything to be normal, but I'm just also going to go into create project. So add project, and when I click on this, we are at this point getting an error, and the error is about crispy form. So it's actually telling us that we have actually passed a field that does not exist. And that's true because when you come into project and then you go to project create view. So I'm going to hit and click on this and go to project create view. Here we are making a condition that if the request.user is authenticated, now we are actually trying to prevent all this information from being seen. And that is what is actually causing this. All right, so I'm just going to come here and then cut the context where we are actually define the context, and outside of the condition, I'm just going to put it right there. All right, so when we do this, notification is actually protected like how we are protecting notification on the dashboard. But the rest of the information like the header text and all that are not being protected. So I'm just going to come here and then for these ones, I'm just going to tap back like this and save changes. All right, so now at this point, since the context is outside of the condition, we are now getting the access to the form. So does it mean that at this point we can actually create projects without logging in? That's how it seems like, and that is something we have to fix. But let's try to create a project and see. So I'm just gonna give it a name. The project is gonna be create maybe a logo for the project, and then the description. I'm just gonna copy this and paste it several times like that. And then the theme is actually gonna be, I have created some number of themes over here, so it's gonna be the React team. And then the company is gonna be Gentech company. To do, or the status is going to be in progress, and the priority is going to be medium. The start date, I'm just going to pick 21st, and then the end date is going to be maybe a day later. The budget details, I could actually fill it, but it's not mandatory filled, and I'm just going to leave it like that. But watch what happens when I click on create project. So now we are getting an error, and it's actually telling us that we cannot assign anonymous user. So what we are doing is project.owner must be an instance of user. Okay, so that is happening right here where we are overwriting the form valid. We actually said at this point that project.owner is going to be equal to self.request.user. So the owner of the project is going to be the logged in user, the person actually creating the project. And that is where we are having this error. So what we're going to be doing at this point is to actually protect these views. So first of all, I'm just going to take out if the request the user dot is authenticated. I'm just going to comment it out, and from here I'm also going to tab these ones back. Okay, then I'm also going to go into the dashboard and comment this one out, and then I'm also going to tab these ones back. Okay, now when we save, we are actually going to get an error, but what we're going to be doing is to actually protect the entire view. And the way to protect our views in Django, we can actually do it. We could do it in a number of ways actually. And one of them is going to be the logged in required decorator. That is something that we can do. You can also do logged in required mixing. And if you are using Django version 5 and above, you could also do the logged in required middleware. So first of all, I'm just going to go up here. Okay, so now you're going to have to import this. So we're going to say from django.contrib. So contrib dot, and then the next thing we're going to do is the auth.mixins. Mixins, we are going to import, and we are going to import logged in require mixin like that. Now that we have actually imported a logged in require mixin, we're going to have to come into the view that we want to protect. So here we're going to paste this like this, and I'm also going to copy the same thing, go into the account views, and we also want to protect the dashboard. So I'm going to paste it like that. And now I could now save changes to all the files that we have actually made modifications to. Check to see if my terminal is running, and I'm going to scroll down, and we are saying logged in required mixin is not defined. So let me check logged in required mixin. Okay, so here we also have to import it. So I'm just going to copy the import from the create project page, and then I'm going to come here and then paste it like this. Save changes, check to see if my terminal is running, and now our terminal seems to be running just fine. So I'm going to come here and then refresh, and then click on send, and now we are seeing page not found. This isn't an error. This is actually what we want, because Django is now redirecting us to the logged in page so that we can actually log in before we create a project. But because we have not set this page up, we are seeing page not found. So suppose we have this page set up, we actually going to be redirected to the login page where we log in before we create our project. So I'm just going to go onto the main dashboard to test and see, and it's actually also redirecting us to the login page for us to log in. All right, this is not where I'm just going to leave it. There is another way to do this. I'm just going to comment this one out, come back here, and also comment this one out. So that means I have to remove the logged in required mixin because we don't need it. And I'm gonna also come here and then remove the logged in required mixin. So when you save changes, it's actually still gonna be an error. Okay, so now that we have actually commented everything out, I'm gonna go back to the admin dashboard and hit on it, and now we are still getting the anonymous user, this kind of notification, this kind of error, and that's because we have actually removed the logged in require mixing. Let's see how we can simply do it. All right, so to fix this, I'm gonna go into my settings.py file. So inside the settings, I'm gonna scroll to where we have the middleware. So inside the middleware, I'm just gonna bring this single quote, and then I'm just gonna do Django.contrib.alt.middleware. So do middleware like this dot login required middleware like this. All right, so this is all that we need to do at this point. And let's test our application to see. And now when we refresh the page, we are seeing it is actually redirecting us to the login page for us to log in first. Okay, but when we come here into the accounts, we are not having any login require mixing, and when you go into the project, we also do not have the login require mixing. So which one is actually better, login require middleware or login require mixing? Okay, so it actually boils down to what you are working on, the kind of project you are building. So in our project, we need to protect all our endpoints with the exception of the login page and then the register page. So we actually need to protect all of it. So we want Django to actually do all the heavy lifting to protect all our endpoints. The ones that we don't want Django to protect, we actually notify, or we actually make it clear to Django that it shouldn't protect this. But for the rest, we are going to protect it, and Django is going to do that for us. When we use logged in required middleware, we actually have to go about protecting it ourselves instead of Django doing all the work for us. And there are chances that we may forget to protect some of our endpoints, and that is actually going to expose it or make it a public endpoint. So it actually boils down to the requirement of your application, whether you need to protect all your endpoints or you need to protect few of your endpoints, and that is actually going to make the difference whether you use logged in require middleware or logged in require mixing. All right, guys, there you have it. I'm just going to see you in the next video. All right, guys, so at this point, what we're going to be doing is to have the ability to click on this button, view our project, and it's actually going to help us view all our project. And we are going to be using this page that is coming from our template. So I'm just going to go back into our text code editor, VS Code, and where we are having create view, I'm just gonna bring list view like this, list view. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down to this part. Okay, I'm also gonna collapse this sidebar, and then I'm just gonna define a class-based view. So I'm gonna say class, and the class is gonna be called project. I'm gonna make a project list view like this, and it's actually going to inherit the list view we imported right here. So I'm just going to copy that and come and paste it over here. Perfect. Now that we have done this, we need to provide a model. So the model is going to be the model that we are going to query from, and in this case it's going to be the project model like that. And right after that, we're going to have templates underscore name, and this template underscore name is going to be the path to the template we are displaying the project list on. So in this case, it's just going to be in projects like this /project underscore list .html. All right, so now that we have done this, we actually need to create this project list.html. So I'm going to go into the template here, go to where we have the project, and inside that I'm just going to create a template called project underscore list.html like that. All right, perfect. So now let's bring a header here, and we're going to call it, let's say, project list like that. And I'm just going to save this one. Okay, so when you come here, I'm also going to save it, and I'm going to copy it, go into our urls.py. So inside our urls.py, we need to import this. So I'm going to bring a comma and then paste it right here. So right after this, I'm also going to copy this URL for the create, and I'm just going to paste it at the top. So we want the create URL to be on the project URL so that we can have our base URL / project, and that is going to list all our projects for us. And now it's just going to be project, not create view, but project list view dot as view. And the name we're going to give it is just going to be project. Sorry, it's going to be list. All right. So I'm just going to save changes. And now we're going to go into so I'm going to close the settings. We don't need it. And the account too, we actually don't need it. Even for the URLs, we are done with that and we don't need it. I'm going to scroll to where we have our dashboard.html. So for the dashboard.html, I'm just going to search for, no, it's not going to be at the dashboard.html. Actually, it's going to be at the sidebar. So I'm going to do sidebar and then search for all projects. So I'm going to search for all projects like this. So this is where we want to put our URL. So I'm just going to do URL, and the URL is going to be projects colon, and it's going to be list. Okay, so I'm just also going to copy this URL, go to our dashboard again. So where we have the dashboard.html, and we're going to look for view all projects. So view all projects, view all projects. And I'm just going to put the URL right here. But first, I just have to check if, okay, so actually this is the project view. I don't want to do for the project view. I'm just going to do for the project list or the latest project. So let's look for the latest project. Let me scroll up and go to latest project. So here I'm just also going to put this URL right here, paste it like this, and then save all changes. Now I can bring my browser up, refresh the page. We are not having any error. So I'm just going to click on view all project, and now we are seeing projects list. When we also go to, let me go back again. And then for the sidebar, we can also click on view all project, and now we are seeing the project list. That's perfect. Let's add some few details into the project list. Now we don't need a sidebar, we don't need a dashboard, we only need the project list. So first thing we have to do is to use extends. So extends, and it's going to be base.html like this. Let's save changes, and when we refresh, we are going to so let's save changes, and then we're going to click on view all projects, and now it's actually inheriting our blueprint or the base.html. The next thing I also have to do is to use block content. So block, I'm going to say content, and then the next thing I have to remove this because we don't need it, and in between this, that is where our projects are going to go to. All right, so the moment we use list view or we inherit list view, Django is going to provide or send a context variable that is going to be the object underscore list. So here I can do obj object underscore list like this, and then save changes. We're going to refresh our page, and now we are seeing all the objects or post objects we have in our database, and we can even loop through that. So to loop through that, I'm just going to do for like this, and we're going to say project, because we want a single project, in obj object underscore list like that. And now we can now access the project, and now we can now access the project name. So we could do project.name like this, and whatever property a project has, we can actually do that and then get them. So when I refresh, now we are getting this, and that's because we can bring a break here. So we do br like this, and that is actually going to make sure that there is a break. Perfect. So these are the projects we have. The next thing we're going to do is to come down to our template, the one we actually downloaded from GitHub, and I'm going to click on project. So inside the project, I'm just going to have to search for main content, And inside the main content, let me collapse the sidebar like this. Inside the main content, we're going to copy everything within the section because that's where our blog content starts from. So I'm going to come here, copy it, and then go back into our project list. I'm just going to replace everything inside the blog content like this, save changes. And now when we go back into our browser, I'm just going to refresh, and this is what you are having. These projects are not coming from our database. It's actually the hard coded projects in the template. So I'm just going to scroll to one of the projects. Let's scroll up here. This is going to be the table head, and we have the table body. So inside the table body, we have table row. That is going to be the first project, and then the next one is going to be like this. So I have to take out one like that, save changes, and then refresh our application. And now we are seeing only one. That is exactly what we want. I'm just going to expand it, come down up here, and now we're going to use our for loop around this. Okay, so our project is going to have a number, that is the number in the list. And then the project is also going to have a name, team members, project progress, and then the status. So the status is actually going to be, in our case, priority like that. And once we have all this information, we can just scroll down to where we have the table row. So for the table row, we're going to do a for loop around it. So we're going to say for, and now I'm just going to say project in object underscore list. So we say object underscore list like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to come here, cut the end of the for loop, and scroll to where we have the end of the table row. So we have the end right here, and I'm just gonna paste it right there. All right, so there are a couple of things we have to do. First of all, we have to get the counter or the number on the number on the list. So we're gonna say do this and then do for loop dot counter like this, and it's actually going to give us the number on the table or in the table. And then the next is also going to be the project name. So we're going to have project dot name like that. Okay, for now, let me save changes and see if we are actually doing the right thing. So I'm going to refresh, and we are having 4 projects. That's what we are seeing. Create backend for SwiftServe. These are the projects we have. We have to go ahead and then work on the rest. Okay. Before we even go ahead, I also want to pass another name here. So we actually accessing the list of the projects as object underscore list. We could also bring this and say context underscore objects underscore name, and that will be the name we want to pass as a context variable. So in this case, I'm gonna call it project. I'm gonna call it project like this. So once we are passing this as a context, we could now come back into our template, and where we are doing objects underscore list, where we are looping through, you do object underscore list. I can now do project, save changes. I also have to save changes over here and then refresh to see if everything is working. And now everything is working perfect. Okay, so I'm also going to close this because we don't need it anymore. And now back onto our project list.html, we're also going to have the created at. So the created at date is actually going to be the date where the project was created. So we're going to say project dot, we say created at. So let me confirm that on the model. So accounts, now I'm gonna go to project. In the models we have created at. Okay, so that's what we are accessing right now. And from there, actually I want to do project.start date. So I'm gonna say the start underscore date like this. Okay, so that is when the project is actually starting. I'm gonna scroll down and then also hide the sidebar. So here we are also seeing that we have a list of, we have the profile pictures of the team members. So let's go actually into the template, and where we have the team members, we want to display the pictures, the profile pictures of the team members. So I'm just gonna delete all of them and leave just one. So when you come here, we have the first one, that's what we want to maintain. Second, third, and then this one. These are the ones that we want to actually delete. So when I delete and then refresh the page, we are actually going to see only one. Now we have to set the profile picture. So where it says profile picture, where it says source, we have to now set the profile picture. But to set the profile picture, we first of all have to loop over them. So we're going to say for, and now we want to do member. So that is going to be each team member in, for member in. So the next is actually going to be the team members. So we need to get the team members, and to get the team members, we have to do project dot team. Okay, so let's go to the model. When you come to the project model, we have team, and when you go into the team, we have members. So that's why we are doing project.team. Now we do members, and now that we are doing members is actually many to many. So you see the team that members, so members is many to many, and we need to get all of them. So we do dot all like that, and that is going to give us all the team members right here. So I'm just gonna cut the end of the for loop and then wrap it around this. Now we could do member dot, we're gonna say profile. So profile, so each member is a user instance, and when you go into accounts and you go to models, inside the accounts we have profile, and then the profile we are getting the user instance, and the user we have related name dot profile. That's what we are doing, and that's why we are doing member dot profile dot profile underscore picture underscore URL like that, and that is going to give us a profile picture right here. So let's save changes and see if we are actually getting the profile pictures. And now we are seeing the profile pictures for each of the team members. Now that we have the team members, let's actually go ahead and then work on the progress. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll to where we have the progress right here, and that is going to be our status. So for the status here, you are seeing BG-green. That is going to be the color of the progress bar. So when you come here, you are seeing the color of the progress bar to be green, but that's not what we want. We want to actually manipulate this from our model. We have a model function that gives a color for each of the status. So we're gonna come here and do, I'm gonna wrap this one like this, and now we do project dot, and what we are actually going to get is going to be the status underscore color like that. And now that we have the status color, we also need to get the value or the progress bar, the value of the progress bar. And to do that, we have to wrap this one around, and then we do project dot, and we're gonna say progress like this. And all these functions that I'm using are actually coming from our project models. So when you come to project models, we have progress, and that is going to give us, if the progress is to do, is going to be 0. If it is in progress, it's going to be 50, and if it is completed, it's going to be 100, right? That is what we are doing. So here we are actually getting even the status color, we also have it here. If it is actually completed, or if it is 100, that is completed, we should give it a success, and the success is going to be green. If it is 50, we give it primary, and then if it is none of these, or if it is to do or 0, it's actually going to have no color. I'm going to go back to the list like this, and where we have the progress, the value now is going to be the project.progress. I'm gonna also come here and you're seeing the width, and the width is also gonna be project dot, and it's gonna be progress like that. Let me copy this where we have the project dot progress. I'm gonna copy it, come to where we have 50%, 57 as a percentage. I'm gonna also put it right here, and that is actually going to give us the progress, or how far we have actually done this work, how close we are to completing the goal. And then the next is actually going to be success. By success, we have batch dash success, and now we need to get the color, and that is going to be project dot, and we need to get the priority color. So we have priority underscore color. Let's confirm that. So on our model, you scroll up and priority color. Let me copy that, and then I'm just gonna paste it right here. And now the success is actually gonna be the priority, whether it is actually high, low, or medium. And I'm gonna wrap it here and then get it from our database. So we're gonna do project dot priority like that, like this. Okay, so where we actually have the actions, so let me go back to the template. Here are the actions. So we have view, edit, and delete. Now we're not gonna need view because we have href here where we can click to send us to the detail page or to help us view the project. So we're not gonna need this. I'm gonna come to where we have the view and take out the view. So now I could save changes, go to our browser and onto our application, and now I'm just gonna refresh, and you're seeing all these things coming from the database. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, so now at this point what we're going to be doing is to have paginations over here, because at this point we have a fewer number of projects. We have 1 up to 4, but chances are that our application, our users, the number of projects we are going to create on our system is actually going to be more, and we are going to pull a lot of data. So we need a way to break this data into pages so that we can actually serve the user with a fewer amount of projects. But when they show interest to view more of the project, they can click on next to view till they get to the last page. And that is a functionality we want to implement, because it's actually going to make sure that the user experience is actually good. So I'm going to go back into my code, and where we have table, I'm going to come down and then make a comment. So the comment here is going to be pagination controls. That is what we want to call it, or a comment for everyone to see that this is where our pagination start. But before we can actually go ahead and then implement our pagination, we're going to have to go into our views, and inside the views we can make another variable here, and we're going to call it paginate by. Okay, so this is actually coming from ListView. Now with the paginate by, it's actually telling us the number of projects we want to show per page. And now I'm just going to make it 5 projects on a page. Now that we have actually done this, we're going to have to come back to our HTML and then now design our pagination. So first, I'm just going to create a div. So we're going to have a div that is going to be the container that is going to contain all our controls. So we're going to do div, and this div, we're going to give it a class. So the class is actually going to be class, and the class is going to be equal to pagination. Okay, let me call it pagination like that. Okay, so inside the class, inside this class, I'm just going to do a span. So span, and this span, I'm just going to give it a class. So the class of this span is going to be, it's going to be equal to step dash length. It's like that. So what this essentially is going to do is actually make sure that our links like first page, next page, last page, and then the current page, all these pages are actually going to be controlled or organized by this particular span. And inside the span, I'm also going to do another span. So span span like this. And this span, I'm just gonna give it a class. So the name class, and then the class is actually going to be current. So I'm gonna call it current like this. All right, so we have the current class that is actually going to show us the current page we are on. All right, so the moment we use class-based view, the list view, have a context variable, and this context variable is going to be the page object. So we can now do page because we want to display the current page we are on, and now we want to access the current page. So we have the page underscore obj. That is a context variable pass when you use the list view dot, and it has a number, a property called number. So this is actually going to show us the current page we are on. Let me save this one as well and then refresh, and we should see the page number right here. So we have page 1. We are actually on page 1. Okay, so let's add more information to it. So we're gonna say page 1 of, and now we need to get the total pages. So page objects, but this time around not number dot paginator. So it has number of pages. So we say dot num underscore pages. So that is actually going to give us a number of pages. So let's save changes, come here and then refresh. And now we are seeing page 1 of 1. And that's true because we are paginating by 5. We want to show 5 objects on the page, 5 projects on the page. But here we are having only 4. So to be able to demonstrate that, let me decrease the number of projects we want to paginate by. So I'm just going to make it 2. And now that it is saying 1 of 1, let me refresh. And we are seeing 1 of 2 because when we come here and do question mark page is equal to 2, we are now going to see page 2 of 2. That is going to be the last page. Okay, so now I want to make a condition, and the condition is going to be, we want to check to see if the page object has a previous page. So we're going to say if, and we're going to say page underscore obj dot, and it has a property called has underscore previous like this. So if it is having a previous page, it's actually going to return true. So let me come here, and now we want to render. The moment there is a previous page, we want to render some href or some link. So I'm going to say a, and that is going to be the href we want to render. Okay, so the href. Now I'm just going to come here and then copy this question mark like this. And then I'm just going to paste it right here. But for now, we are just going to make it 1 because we want to get a first page. So once we have actually done this, we're going to go to where we are displaying the first page. So we say first like this. So that is actually going to give us the first page. So let me save changes, and then we're going to refresh to see what is happening. And now we are seeing first. Okay, let's add some few details to it. We don't just want to show first, we also want to show a great less than sign. That is an arrow pointing to back. So what we're going to do is to use an HTML entity, and it's going to be this and sign, and we say LAQUO, and we're going to bring a semicolon like this, and that is actually going to give us those double less than sign pointing to the back. So let me save changes, and I'm going to refresh the page, and now we are seeing this sign that is pointing to the back. So now we have the first page, and we can now click on it, and it takes us to the first page because we are trying to display 2 projects on the page. Okay, so another link we want to actually render when the page object has a previous page is going to be this particular href. Okay, so now we're gonna have previous. We want to show the previous page, and this previous page we're gonna have page number, but this page number is not gonna be 1. We have to pick it from our page object. So the page object actually has a property, and this property is going to be page underscore obj dot, and this time around we're going to get previous underscore page underscore number. That is going to give us a previous page number, and we don't need this. We don't need any arrow pointing to the back. Let's save changes, and then we're going to have to refresh our page, and now we are on the first page. Okay, so let's see when we have previous. That's going to be page 2, and now we have previous, so we are seeing first page. We can click on that. We can also go to the previous page, but this time around the previous page is the same as page 1 until we have more number of projects in our database. All right, so now that we have all these ones, I could come back to where we are making the condition. So let me even bring this one down, and this is the end of the condition. Okay, this is where we are actually displaying the current page number. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this one, and then I'm just gonna paste it right here. All right, so when the page object has a previous, these are the things that we are doing. What about when it has the next page? So we say page object dot has next dot has underscore next, like this. So that is when the page object has a next page. These are the forms, these are the links that we want to render at this point. So the first one is going to be question mark page, and now we need to pick this one from the page object. So what we're going to be providing is going to be page underscore object dot, and we need to get next underscore page underscore number, like that, and that is going to give us the next page number. And now here, instead of showing first, we're going to show next, like that. That is going to give us the next page, and then the next one is going to be page, and now we actually going to be picking page object. So here is going to be the last page. That is, we're going to the last page, and the page object dot. Now we could do paginator dot, and the next one is going to be number underscore pages, and that is actually going to give us the last page. So I'm just going to save changes and come here. So here we can now refresh. Now we are seeing page 1 of 2. Because we don't have previous page, we are not seeing any link right here, because our function or the if condition is actually not rendering this because we don't have a previous page. But the moment we click on next, we now have a previous page, and it's now actually rendering this one. But since we are on the last page, we don't have what next page, and now we are not seeing anything here. We can jump and go to the first page, and we could also jump and then go to the last page. So guys, this is how you actually do pagination and then display all the projects in your database or the project list. All right, guys, so if you found this tutorial very helpful, don't forget to like, comment, share, and I'm just gonna see you in the next video. All right, so back on our project list page, you're gonna realize that the banner here or the header, we don't have any information on it. But when you go to the dashboard, you are seeing that we have dashboard here. And when you even go into the add project, we also have add projects here. So let me go back into the all projects. We should actually have a text here. Also, when you come to where we are displaying our notification, there are no notifications. And that's because in our code for project list, we actually not passing any context data. So I'm just going to come to where we have get context data for project create, and I'm just going to copy it because they have the same information. So I'm just going to come down here and then paste it right here. Few changes we have to make. First is going to be where we say super, and we are calling the super class, that is the project create view. This time around, it's just going to be the project list view. So I'm going to have to copy and then paste that right here. Then I'm also going to scroll down and then show the right information. So where we have project add, I could make it project list, or maybe project simply. Then I'm going to save changes, come here, and then I'm just going to refresh the page. So hopefully we should get projects right here, and it's actually also showing here. Right away, our notification is actually now working, and when you click, we are now passing the notification to this part. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, the hard work has actually been done already. So I'm gonna have to come here, copy project list, and what we're gonna be creating or showing is just gonna be the project near due date. We want to list all those projects. So when I come back to the dashboard, and on the dashboard, when I scroll down, I want to have the ability to click on view all projects, and that is gonna help us view all the projects that are close to the due date. So I'm just gonna come down here and then paste this one right here. So instead of project list view, it's just gonna be project near due date list view. And right after that, I'm just gonna copy this one, come to our urls.py, and inside the urls.py for project app, I'm just gonna paste it right here. So we are also importing it like that. And from there, I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it right here. And that is going to be the path or the URL for project near due date. So here, I'm just gonna have to copy this and then paste it .as view, and then the name is gonna be due dash list, and we also have to give it a path, and the path is actually gonna be equal to near dash due date like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna save changes, and I'm just gonna copy this. That is going to be the URL we want to pass. So back onto our dashboard.html, I just want to pass that particular URL. So I'm gonna scroll to where we are showing the project near due date. Now I just want to hide the sidebar and then scroll down. So I'm looking for where it says view all projects. So view all projects, and this should be the URL. I'm just gonna paste this one, but instead of project dash list, it's just gonna be project dash near. Okay, so let me confirm that, and it's gonna be due list. So I'm gonna come here and then make it due list, save changes, and then refresh the page. So now when I refresh the page, I could now come to where we are showing the project near due and click on that, and it's actually saying object has. Okay, so there are a couple of changes we have to make. First of all, project near due date, I'm gonna copy it and then paste this one right here, and perfect. We also wanna make sure we change this, so it's gonna be project, gonna be due project like this, like that. Save changes, and now I could come to the page and then refresh it, and we are seeing this project. All right, so at this point, the information that we are displaying for the project list is the same as the project near due date list view. And that is not something that we want. We only want to get projects that are close to the due date. And to be able to do that, we need to overwrite the get query set. So I'm just going to do def and do get underscore query set like that. Okay, so this is actually going to take self. And now that we have actually passed self, the next thing we're going to return is going to be project dot, and we're going to do objects dot, and we are going to get all. So the all is actually going to filter, and we are going to get all the project dot, and then the next thing is actually going to be, we have to go into the project model, and inside the project model we have a function called near due or less. So I'm just going to copy this and then come back into our view. So I don't need this, into our view, and then paste it right here. So this is actually going to override the query set. So instead of doing .all, it's actually going to get the project that are close to the due date, and we actually picking that query set from our model manager. So let me save changes and then go back to our page, refresh, and it's not going to seem like much is happening because every project we have on our dashboard are all the projects that are close to the due date. But let's make a couple of modifications. I'm just going to come to where we have our projects. So inside the database, I'm going to go to project, And one of the projects that are close to the due date is actually create YouTube videos. And it's because it's actually the due date is today. So I'm just going to make the due date much higher. Save changes. Now we're going to go to our dashboard. Perfect. So on our dashboard, we are seeing 4 projects here. Create YouTube videos is actually due in 4 days, and it cannot be part of the project that are close to the due date, because a project has to be 2 days close to the due date before it will be considered as close to the due date. So now when I click on this, you are seeing 1, 2, and then the next page is actually going to show just one project. But when we come to all projects, and then when you click on next page, we are seeing these 2. So this is how you can actually display the project that are close to the due date. All right, guys, so now let's fix this minor issue. When you click on dashboard, we are actually seeing that the dashboard link on the sidebar actually gets the active class. So now it's active. When you come to project and click on add projects, the parent project here is marked as active, and even add project is also marked as active. But what happens when we click on all projects? Now you're going to realize that none of these links gets marked as active, and that's because we have actually not set it to do so. So I'm going to come to the sidebar here and then scroll to our template, and inside the template we're going to go into component, and then I'm going to click on sidebar. I also want to hide the sidebar of VS Code, and let's look for where we are showing the project sidebar. Okay, so this is it, and I'm going to scroll to create project. So I'm going to copy everything right here and go to where we have the add project list, and where we have the link nav dash link, I'm gonna paste this one right here. Okay, so the URL name has to change to from create to list, and that's because when you come to projects, inside the projects URLs, we have the list of the project. The URL name is list. So I'm now going to save changes. Okay, before I even save changes, we also want to mark the parent link as active when someone also click on project list. So to do that, I'm also going to come here and then copy the URL list like this. And then I'm just going to do or like that and then paste it right here. So right after this, I'm just going to save changes and come to our browser. So here now, when I refresh, everything should work. This one should be marked as active, and even this one. So now let me refresh, and now project, the parent is actually, the menu actually is marked as active, and all project is also marked as active. So now you can see everything is working the way it has to. All right, guys. So at this point, we want to get the list of all our members, the latest members here. So we are seeing the latest members, and we want to have the ability to click on view all members, and that is going to open a separate page that we could see all our team members. So I'm going to come here to the template, and this is what we want to display when we click on view all members. So you're going to have members or latest members or users, and this card is actually going to loop through. We're going to loop through this card and display all the latest members here. And we're also going to have the pagination where we can click and then go to the next. So I'm going to go to the dashboard and let's start working. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to close the sidebar because we don't need it, and I'm also going to go into the accounts and then open the accounts views. But even before, let me scroll to project, and I think we have already worked on the project list. So I'm going to come to where we have the project list and then copy everything we have for project list. Okay, so now I can close that. We don't need it. And I'm going to go to where we have the dashboard and scroll down. So at the very bottom here, I could actually paste this. I'm also going to collapse the sidebar so that we have more space to work with. And now I can copy project list and then come to list view. And all right, so I need to import list view. So I'm going to bring a comma and then put list view like this. So at this point, we need to change, rename it. This is actually going to be member list view. So I'm going to be members list view, and it's actually going to be inheriting the list view. And we also need to pass the model. The model we want to query from is going to be the profile model. Say profile, and that is the model we want to put. So the context name is actually going to be members like this. And from there, we're also going to have accounts, and the next is going to be profile dash list. So instead of project dash list, we're going to have profile underscore list.html. So I need to come here, and inside the accounts, I need to create profile underscore list. So here we do profile underscore list. So profile underscore list dot html like that. All right, so here I need to pass, I need to make h1, and we're gonna do profile list like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna come back into our views, and we are querying from the profile model. Okay, so the template name is accounts profile underscore list.html, and we are going to paginate by 9. Okay, the reason why we are doing 9 is on the template we are actually displaying 9. So we have first 3, second 3, and then third. That is going to be 9 like that. And the context is going to be super dot. So here is going to be member list, and that is going to be our context. Notification, everything is going to remain the same. All right, so at this point, we need to import our view into our URL. So I'm going to open the URLs and then do the import right here. Right after the import, I'm just going to come here and then copy this particular path or URL for the dashboard, and I'm going to paste it right here. So our URL is going to be on members like this, and then the view is going to be member list view. Perfect. And then the name is going to be members dash list, or anything you want to call it. All right, so now that we have done this, I'm just going to copy the name for the URL, and I'm going to go into our dashboard.html. So dashboard.html, let me collapse the sidebar, then scroll to or search for latest members. So it's a latest members, and for the latest members, we're going to go to view or members or users, and here that is where we are going to put our URL. So we're going to do URL, and then the URL is going to be accounts column members like this. Now we can save changes. I'm going to also close this and then come to our browser, refresh, and hopefully we don't get any errors. Now we are not getting any errors, but then I can click on members like this. Now we are seeing profile dash list. All right, so let's make some few modifications to the profile list. Now I don't even need dashboard.html, and inside the profile list we're going to have to extend. So we're going to do extends, and that is going to be base.html. Save changes and refresh our application. This is what you're seeing. Perfect. Now what we're going to be doing is to do block content. So we're going to say block, and we want block content. That is the name of our block content. And now I can just delete this one because we don't need it. And within the block content, we're going to do members like this, and this members is actually coming from here, the context object name that is called the members. So I'm going to save changes. I'm just going to save changes and then refresh to see the members that we have, and looks like we have a list of members, a lot of them actually. So now we can actually loop through like we did with the profile, the project list. All right, so what we're going to be doing next is to come to the sidebar here and look into our template. So inside the template, we're going to look for themes, and this is what we actually need to copy. So let me collapse the sidebar and then search for main content, and this is going to be the main content. So we are going to copy everything within the section. So I'm going to collapse it like this and copy everything within the section. Now I can close it because I don't need it, and now we're going to put it within the block content. So now that we have it in the block content, let's refresh to see. So I'm going to refresh it like that, and this is what we are seeing. Perfect. Okay. Our application. Let's go into our profile list.html, and we only need one of them. So now we're gonna go into our profile underscore list.html and just look for only one of the profile card. So I'm gonna scroll up here. Perfect. So you're gonna realize that this is a row, and then the first one is gonna start from this. So this is the first one, and then the second one is the. So now let me bring a space here and then collapse this. So we only need one to loop over. The rest, I'm just gonna delete them. So I'm gonna collapse this, come here and then collapse the next one. Let me collapse all of them. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to delete all these ones because we don't need them. We only need one. Now that we have deleted and it's left with one, I'm just going to save changes and then refresh to see if we only have one. Perfect. We only have one profile card over here. So now we can just loop over this. So I'm going to do 4. So we say 4. And we're going to say 4 member in, and it's going to be members, and we are getting these members from our view because that's the context we are passing over here. And I'm going to cut the end of this and then wrap it at the end of the card like that. All right, perfect. So now let's save changes and refresh to see what we have over here. So these are the members we have in our list. All right. So before we can go ahead and then do anything, you're going to realize that we have digital strategies, and that seems to me like a job title the person is having. And when you look at this part too, we are also having a phone number. And these are the things that we don't have on our profile model. So I'm going to go back to our profile models, and inside the profile models, we need to add a couple of fields. So first is going to be the job title. So we say job underscore title, and that is actually going to be a models dot, and they say car field, models dot car field like that. Okay, so once you're using car field, we need to provide max underscore length, and then the max underscore length is going to be 255. That is what we are choosing to go with. And we also make it null because we don't want to provide job title by default. And we also say blank is actually going to be true. Okay, so now we also need to give a phone number, or we need to provide a phone number because all profile members should have a phone number. So at this point, I'm going to do phone. All right, so before we even go ahead and then provide a phone number, we need to install a package. And this package is going to make sure that all phone numbers that are input into the system are actually validated. So to do that, we need to install the package. Say pip install, and we're going to have to give the name of the package. So it's a Django dash phone number dash field like this. And now we need to provide an optional package that is actually going to do the validation itself. Say phone number. Phone numbers like that. Okay, so I'm gonna hit on enter to install the package. Perfect. Now installation is done. We're gonna have to open our settings.py file. So I'm gonna go to Swift Hub, go to settings.py, and we're gonna need to add this one phone number to the installed app. So I'm gonna do this and bring a comma, and we're gonna add phone number like this. So I'm gonna say phone number underscore field like this. Okay, so now we can save changes to all. All right, so we're gonna have to import it at the very top here, and we do from phone number underscore field dot model fields imports, and now import And now we can now import phone number field like this. Now that we have imported the phone number field, we can now copy it and then scroll to where we are showing the field. And now I can do this phone number field, and we have to provide the arguments. So by default, null is going to be true, and blank is also going to be true. And the next one is going to be unique. So we want the phone numbers to be unique. Unique is also going to be equal to true. So all phone numbers, two people cannot have the same phone number. Okay, after this, let's save changes, bring up my terminal, and then we're going to have to make migration. So Python money.py make migrations like this, and we wait for migrations to be made. All right, so now it's adding the job title and then the phone number field to our model. Now we can do Python money.py migrate to write the changes to our database. Now we wait for the changes to be written to our database. Now that all these changes have been written to our database, we can now have access to this one. So we could come to the profile underscore list.html, and where we are actually showing the title of the job title, we can now do member.job underscore title. Let me confirm that from the model. It's job underscore title. Perfect. And we're gonna also scroll to the name, and it's gonna be member.full name. So here we're gonna have member.full underscore name like that. Okay. So the about section is gonna be the bio. So that is also gonna be member.bio. Member.bio. So we also have the bio on the model like this. And we're gonna also scroll down and search for the other things that we need to modify. So here we need to have a phone number, and that is where we're gonna have member.phone. Okay. We also scroll to the profile picture. We need to get a profile picture, and that is gonna be member.profile underscore picture underscore URL like that. And okay, so now let's save changes and see what is actually happening on our browser. So I'm gonna refresh, and now we are seeing the profile picture, and now we are seeing none for all the job titles because it's just a field that we introduced and we have not actually set anything. I think the address, we also didn't deal with the address. So I'm gonna come to where we have address, and we need to also get the address from our database. So we're gonna do member dot, let me see how it is on the model, member dot location. So it's going to be member dot location, not address, location like that. And I'm going to save changes, refresh to see. All right, so address is none, phone is none, and all these ones are none, but the profile pictures and everything are showing. So I'm going to go into my Django administration and go to profile. So for the profile, my name is Gentech, and I need to set a job title. So I'm just going to do it software engineer. I already have a profile picture. The bio is going to be passionate software engineer and IT manager. Like that, whatever. And the location is gonna be Ghana. So that is where I'm from Ghana, and my phone number, this is the real phone number. And for the phone number, it's gonna be +233. That is the country code for Ghana, and 54333497. So that's my phone number. And I'm gonna scroll to the date of birth, and I'm just gonna set anything right here, something right here, and then save changes. All right, so let's go back to where we are displaying this information, and now I can refresh changes, and you are seeing software engineer, and the name is Techi Musa, And the about is, that is the bio. You're gonna also see the bio, and then the location, that is the address, and then the phone number. So we can go ahead and then do for all of this, but that is actually going to waste our time because I have actually done for one, and it's going to be the same for others when we fill this information. The next thing we're going to have to do is to work on the pagination here. This is actually coming from the template, and we need to actually use real pagination. I mean, something from the database. So we have actually worked on this one in the project list. So I'm going to scroll to project. Inside the project, I'm going to scroll to where we have the project app, project right here. And then we're going to go into the template and go to project list. So this is where we have the pagination control. So I'm going to collapse it like this and cut this one right here. We do not want to put pagination on the project list and also on the profile list, and that is going to be like a duplication of code. So what we're going to be doing is to include. So I'm going to do include, and where are we going to put our paginator, where the one that we have cut. So I'm going to go to components slash, and I'm going to say paginator like that .html. Okay, so now that we have done this file actually does not exist, and I'm going to scroll to component, and inside the component I have to create paginator .html, and then inside the paginator.html I have to put this one right here. So I'm going to have to come back here, and where we are showing this one, copy it, scroll down to the end of the if statement, and then also put this one right here. Now let me save changes for all and then refresh to see. So here we're going to refresh, and now we are seeing 1 of 1. We need to get rid of this paginator that is coming from the template. So I'm going to come here and then take this one out. Okay, so let me even take it out from here. So let me take this one out like that, and now we can just do the include inside of this. Save changes, and we're gonna refresh once more. All right, so now we are seeing 1 of 1, and that's because the number of items to list, or the number of objects to list on the page, is actually equal to the total number of objects we have in our database. What I mean to say is, when you come here, we are displaying 9, but then when you come into our Django administration, we have 9 profiles. So to be able to see that our paginator is actually working, I'm gonna make it 6. Save changes, and then I'm just gonna come here and then refresh. Perfect. Now we are seeing 1 of 2. So when I click on this, it's actually showing us 2 of 2, and it's showing us the rest. So I'm gonna click on previous, and it's also gonna display all these things that we have right here. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna close all these things because I don't need them anymore. So at this point, we're going to go back onto our dashboard. So on the dashboard, you're going to realize that when we come to the dashboard, we have SwiftHub dashboard. And when you go into all projects, we also have the same SwiftHub dashboard as the title. And for all the pages, you are going to see the same title. And that's because when you come into the base.html, we have SwiftHub and then dashboard. All right, so at this point, what we're going to be doing is, when we visit a specific page, we want to show dynamic title, and that is what we want to do at this point. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to have to come to base.html, and where we have the title, I'm just going to include a block. So I'm going to do block, and I'm going to call it title. Okay, so this is going to be our block, and here I just want to take out the title at this part because it's not important. And now in between the block, we're gonna do SwiftHub like that. Okay, so now I can save changes. All right, so I'm gonna go into the account views and then look for dashboard view, and here where we have the context for the header underscore test, I'm gonna copy. Let me even copy. I'm gonna copy this one and then paste it right here. So here we have to define it, we have to give it a name, And then the context variable we want to pass is going to be title, and we also going to make it dashboard. So on the page, when you refresh, you're supposed to see a title there. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard, and where we, after we have the extents, we're gonna have to bring our block. So it's gonna be block, and then the name of the block is gonna be title. This part actually is not important. And then inside the block, I'm gonna load the variable. So it's gonna be title like this. That is the context variable we are passing. Then I'm gonna also bring a pipe, and then the next one is gonna be block.super. So block.super is going to be the title we have here. Okay, so let me save changes and then demonstrate that one to you real quick. So I'm gonna go to dashboard, and now we are seeing dashboard, then pipe swift tab. So swift tab is actually coming from the base.html, and block.super is actually loading the swift tab from the base.html. And now we are also passing our title. That is what is provided in the view. So I'm gonna also copy this, scroll to the member list, and I'm just gonna give it a name. The name is going to be all members like that. Okay, so now I'm also gonna have to go to project. So project, we have two views. We have the post create and then post list. So for the post create, the context is gonna be project add. All right, and then I'm gonna also scroll to where we have project list, and then I'm gonna paste it like that, and then give it a title, and then the title is gonna be so all projects like this. So let me save changes to all the files that I have modified, and when I refresh, so this is gonna be the dashboard. Let's go to project, all project, and now okay, so it doesn't look like this one is working. And that's because you have to come to the template. So for project create, we're gonna have to scroll to where we have the template for the project create, and we have to load it right here. And also you have to do the same for project list. So I'm gonna have to scroll to the top and then do the same thing. Let's save changes, and hopefully now everything should work. And now we have all projects being passed from the context from the back end to the front end. Let's also go to add project, and now we are seeing project add, and then we are having our Swift tab here. Perfect. All right, guys, welcome back. So when we scroll down to the latest members and you click on that, you are seeing projects, and that's because in our context we are passing projects. So I'm going to scroll to where we have members inside the accounts, and now you're seeing projects. So I could do with members like that, and now we can save changes and refresh, and we should see members right here. So now we have members, and it's actually also showing at this part. All right, so at this point, what we're going to be doing is to come down to when we scroll to dashboard, and then we have now dealt with latest members. We also want to have the ability to view all notifications by this logged in user. So here we want to have view all notification at the bottom here, and we can also view the notification when we come to see all notification. So the way we are going to do that is we actually by mistake deleted this one, but we're gonna go into our dashboard, and inside the dashboard look for view all members. So it's actually in the card body, or the yes, inside the card body where we had the footer right here. So I'm gonna copy it and then scroll down to the notification, and here that is where we deleted it from. I'm gonna paste everything right here. Okay, so now the href is not gonna be pointing to anywhere. I'm just gonna take it out, and instead of view all users, we're gonna say see all notifications. So all notifications like this. Okay, so let's refresh and then see what happens. So I'm gonna come here and then refresh. Now we are seeing see all notification. Perfect. I'm also going to go into the accounts views.py and then copy the list view for all members list, and then I'm going to scroll to where we have notifications. So we're going to go into notification app and then inside the view. So inside the notification views, I'm just going to paste this one right here, but it's not going to be members list, but it's going to be notification list view like this. And it's also going to be inheriting from list view. So I could just come here and then say from Django dot and views dot generic. So we're gonna import, and now we are importing list view like that. So list view is now inherited at this part. Now you're gonna have to query from a specific model, and the model is gonna be our notifications model. So notification, and now we have to import notification. So we're gonna say from dot models imports, and now import, and now we are importing notification. Okay, so this notification is what is being passed here. So let me make it notification like this. Okay, so now that we have this, we're gonna have to provide a context object name, and the context object name at this point, you're gonna make it notification, so like this. And then the template is actually gonna be in notification / notification list. So you're gonna have notifications, and then we're gonna have notification - list, notification underscore list.html. So I should come into the notification here and then create a folder called template, and inside this template I should create another folder, and that folder is going to be notifications. And inside the notification folder I should create notification underscore list.html. Perfect. Okay, so the notification underscore list.html has been created now. Okay, so what I could do at this point is to say h1 and the notification. Okay, so let me save changes. I'm also gonna go here and then save changes, but inside here we want to show 10 notification on a page. Let's say 10. And from there, we also have our context, but then the context is actually going to be picking the super class is going to be notification - list, and everything seems to be good. We have all notification. Okay, let's make it notifications here. And then it's going to be all notification, or like this. Okay, perfect. So now that we have this, we have to come into the notification, and then inside the notification, we have to create urls.py, and inside the urls.py, I'm going to have to go into one of these, either project URLs or account URLs, and then copy what we have over here. All right, so now inside the notification urls.py, I'm going to paste this one right here, and now we need to import our view. So it's going to be notification list view. So it's going to be from .notifications import notification list view like that. And I'm just going to delete everything right here, and the notification list view is going to be on this URL like that, and it's going to be notification - list. So notification list like this. Okay, so now that we have done this, we have to actually add our notification URLs into the main project or the Swift Hub project URLs. So I'm going to scroll to Swift Hub, and inside the Swift Hub, we're going to look for URLs. So here, I'm just going to copy one of these, and I'm just going to make it notifications like this, and we're going to include notification.url. So here, I also have to bring a comma, and that comma seems to be here. So let me bring it right here. And now we have notifications, and we want to include notifications.urls, and the name is actually going to be notifications. So I'm also going to remove this comma and then bring it at the back over here since it's a list. So I'm just going to go back into our urls.py for notification. And here is it. And now you are seeing app name, but then the app name is going to be notifications like this. We are actually getting the app name from when you come into the notification app, you're going to see apps.py, and inside the apps.py, this is the name we have. So now I can save changes. Then we're going to go into our dashboard.html. So let me close some of these because I'm not going to need them. Dashboard.html, and where we have see all notifications, now we can do URL, and then the URL is going to be notifications column notification dash list. All right, so we are getting notifications from the main project URL. So when you go to Swift Hub, you're going to have URLs, and the URL is going to be notification. So this is where we are getting these notifications from, and then colon notification dash list. That is going to be the URL specific, the specific URL for the notification list. That's notification dash list. And now we can save changes, and I'm going to also go back to the dashboard again and then copy this specific URL and then scroll down to where we have our component and then look for navbar.html. And at the navbar.html, we are also having this href that says see all notification. And I'm going to put this right here. So I can now save changes and then refresh our app to see if everything is okay. Okay, it looks like we have an error, and that's because the spelling is wrong. So I'm going to go here and then make changes to this one. So noti. Okay, so I'm going to copy the same thing and then go to where we have the dashboard.html, and I'm going to replace this one as well. Save changes to all the files that I have modified. And now I'm going to check to see if everything is working. And now everything is working. So when you scroll to see all notifications, I can just click on that. And all right, so now we're having an error, and the error is because it's actually saying notification does not exist. Now we have notification, and that's not notification. It has to be notifications. So I'm going to go into the views, and inside the views where we are saying notification, it's actually notifications. Now we can now save changes and then go back to our page and then refresh. Perfect. Now we are seeing notifications right here. All right, so now that we have actually had a notification working, we're going to go to our template, and inside the template we're going to look for notifications right here. I'm going to toggle my sidebar and then search for blog content. So we're going to say blog, we're going to search for main content like this, and inside the main content you're going to have to copy everything. So we're going to have to copy everything. So what I'm going to be doing is to collapse this and then copy everything inside of this place. Now I can close the notification and then close some of these files because I don't need them. I'm going to be closing some of these things. Notification list, I will need it. Dashboard, I'm not going to need it. And then navbar, I'm also not going to need it. Okay, so what we have to do at this point is to extend. So extend base.html. And after that, I'm also going to do block content. So content, and I don't need content right here. Okay, so in between this, I'm just going to paste our notification specific template over here. So let's save changes and then see what we have on the dashboard, on the notification list. So we are seeing base does not exist, and that's because I actually misspelled the base. It's actually base like that. And now when we refresh, we are actually getting these notifications here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing at this point is to go into the template, and inside the template we actually going to be looking for notification count. So you're going to do notification underscore count. Let me actually check it on the view. So we go to notification and then we have notification view, but then we have notification underscore count. So we can put our notification counts right here. All right, so now we have the notification count, and from here we're gonna have to go through the notifications. We only need one, but if you come to the template, we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 notifications. So we have to remove some of them. So the beginning of the first notification is this. So let me collapse this right here, and from there I'm gonna push the rest down. So I'm gonna collapse the second one, third, fourth, and then the last one is gonna be this. So let me collapse that one as well. Okay, so now I can delete everything to this place. Okay, so let's save changes and see what happens. And now we are seeing only one notification. Perfect. So I'm just gonna open it up like this. All right, so now I'm gonna have to loop over this notification. So I'm gonna say for. I'm gonna say for. Say notification in. Then we're gonna come into our template, our views, and then we're gonna pick the context object name, and that is gonna be notifications here. Then I can now cut the end of the for loop, scroll down, and then close it right here. All right, so now we can now loop over the notification. Perfect. So each notification is going to have a created at field. So when you come to the notification model, so notification, then the models we have created at. So that is what we want to target. And now we can just pick it like this and do notification dot created at. That is going to give us the time this notification is actually created. All right, now so we are seeing support team. So it's going to be the person sending the notification. So we have to pick it from our backend, and that is going to be notification dot, and that is going to be the actor. So that is going to be the person who is sending the notification dot profile. That is going to put us right into the profile model, and inside the profile model we can do dot full underscore name like this. Okay, so this person actually sent an email. So do we want to make it an email? We want to make it sent a notification like this. Okay, so right from there we also need to get a notification verb. So I'm gonna wrap everything like this and then delete this one. So we say notification dot verb like that. Okay, so now at this point we have the actions that is going to be read more and then delete notification. But let's save changes and refresh to see what we have right here. All right, so now we are having Techimusa, who is the actor, sent a notification, and then the notification is projects updated or create YouTube video. So that was some of the notification that actually came through. Also, we are having a lot of notifications that are actually coming through right here. Okay, perfect. So at this point, we also want to do a pagination. So I'm going to scroll down to this part, and then we're going to paginate at this place. So what we can do is say pagination controls. So for anyone reading this code to see that the pagination goes here. And now we're going to include pagination. So it's coming from component /paginator dot HTML like this. Let's refresh and then save changes. Okay, so now when you come here, we are seeing page 1 of 9. So when you click, you're also seeing all these ones. And we can now go to the last page like that. Perfect. So if you look at our notification, we have lots of notification coming through. And the problem we have right now is our system. We are now pulling every notification from the notification table. But if you look at the total notification this logged in user has, is just 7. But what you see is a whole lot of notifications. All right, to fix this, we're going to have to go into projects. So we go into project, then inside of views, we scroll down to where we have the project near due date, and then I'm going to copy the get query set. So we come into notifications, notification views, and now ListView is actually going to pull everything inside of our notification model. So we need to actually override that. So we have the get query set. So all right, so now I can just come here and then I'm gonna copy this so that we return it for the get query set. So I'm gonna paste it right here and then save changes. Go back here. Then now we can refresh the page. And now we are seeing this number of notifications. So we are seeing 7. We are seeing this number of notifications, actually showing the number of notifications we have. To prove that our paginator is actually working, I'm gonna come into the views, and instead of showing 10, I'm just gonna show, let's say 5, save changes, go back and then refresh the page. And now we are seeing page 1 of 2. We can click on next, and then we are now on the last page, so you can click on previous and all that. All right guys, so I'm just gonna see you in the next video. All right guys, so this is our dashboard, and what we're going to be doing in this video is to be able to mark notification as read. So I'm just going to click on the notification here and go to see all notification. So on the see all notification, you're going to see that we have read and then delete. So we want to have the ability to click on a button to be able to mark a notification as read. What I mean to do is, let's try to do it manually. So first of all, I will come into the admin dashboard and look for one of the notifications that I am a recipient. My username is Gentech, and you're going to realize that here I'm a recipient of this particular notification. So if you take a look at red here, now red is not ticked. So I'm going to tick this, but before I even go ahead and save changes, we have 17 notification right here. You can also see 17 notification right here. All right, so when I click on red and then click on save, now when I refresh, this notification has been reduced to 16, and we have it also here 16. And now we are not showing that in the list of the notification for that particular user. That is essentially what we want to achieve on the front end here, so that we can click on a button that says mark as read, and it's gonna actually trigger this and then mark the notification as read in our admin dashboard. And when we are filtering, we're going to filter out all notifications that are marked as read. All right, so to do that, we first of all have to implement the functionality, the function that is actually going to mark the notification as read. I'm just going to do that at the very top here. You can also choose to come to the bottom here. All right, so let me toggle into a full screen, and this is where I want to implement that functionality. So I'm just gonna create a class, and the class is gonna be mark notification as read. I just want to be more descriptive, and it's actually going to inherit from the view. So we need to import this view right here, and that is coming from views.generic. So I'm gonna import the view right here. So this view has now been imported over here. All right, so first thing we need to do is to override the save method. So when I say save and we say post, so we want to override the post method. So we pass self as an argument, and we also pass request. So after we have passed request, we also want to pass the notification ID, because we are dealing with individual notifications that we are going to mark as read. So we need to get a notification ID right here. So this ID is something we're going to pass from the front end to the back end. All right, so now that we have all these parameters in, we need to get a single notification. So let me make a comment and say get notification like this. All right, so here we need to get a notification. So notification, I'm just gonna create a variable called notification, and this notification is gonna be equal to, we have to query the notification model. So notification dot objects dot, and then now we need to get So we're gonna get the notification by ID, and the ID is gonna be equal to the ID that has been passed from the front end to the back end. This is actually going to get the notification for us. So we can even print notification here to see if we have the notification. All right. So right after this, now that we have the notification object, we need to mark it as read. So you say notification dot, and we have a property called read. You get it right here, and that should be equal to. So by default, when we take a look at our notification model, you're gonna see that read by default is gonna be false. But this time around, we want to change it from false to true. So we're gonna set it to true at this point. And now that we have done that, we need to go on and save this notification. So notification.save, and this is actually going to save our notification. And once we are done getting the notification and saving the notification, we need to return this notification. So we need to return, and we're gonna redirect this time around, redirect, and we're gonna redirect to notification dash list, notification colon list. So this notification list is actually coming from this part. So we made it notification list. So we're gonna come here and copy that, and we're gonna paste it right at this part. So this is essentially, so now right after this, we also need to import redirect, and redirect is gonna be imported from this part. So we say redirect like that. Okay, now that we have actually done this, you're gonna have to import this in our URL. So I'm gonna come here and then import notification from our views. All right, so we say path, and now you're gonna have to pass in the ID of the notification. Okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna do this, and we need to get a notification ID from the front end. So we're gonna copy this notification ID right here. And before we even set the ID, notification ID is of the type integer. So let's inspect that real quick. When you come into notification, then I'm just gonna click on one of the notification, and you're gonna realize that the ID of the notification is 18, which is an integer. So I'm just gonna do int column, and the next thing we're going to have to pass is the ID of the notification. Right after this, I'm just going to bring / and it's going to be on the red URL like that. And after this, I'm just going to bring a comma and the name of the function that we have, and the name of the function. So I'm just going to copy the function name and paste it right here, .as view like that. And then we also need to give it a name. So the name of this is going to be, I'm just going to do name, and it's going to be equal to, so we're going to say mark as read. Again, I just want to be more descriptive as much as possible. Okay, so our notification read is just going to be on this URL. Perfect. So at this point, you're going to go into our notification list .html. Let me toggle into the full screen, and we're going to scroll to where we have the footer here. We see read more and then delete. I don't think so. Let's go back onto the front end and click on this. Okay, so this is where we have the read and then delete. So we're going to change the delete to mark as read. So mark as read like that. Okay, so I'm just going to save changes, go back to our front end, and then refresh to see what we have. So we now have mark as read. Okay, perfect. So at this point, I don't think we need read more, because all of our notification is just going to be in a way that we can read the entire details of each notification in a list. So I'm also going to comment out the read more, because we don't need it. You can actually delete it. So we're going to also save changes. All right, so now we need to wrap this in a form. So I'm just gonna do form, and now we have our form right here. So we have to pass the URL as the action. So I'm gonna do URL, and our URL is gonna be notifications column. And this time around, the actual URL for that particular mark as read is going to be mark as read. So I'm just going to copy and then paste it right here. Now we also need to pass the ID of the notification. So I'm just going to come out of this and then do notification, because we have notification object right here. So we could do notification.verb, but this time around we are doing notification dot ID. Now that we have passed the ID to the URL, I'm just gonna come out and then cut the end of the form right here and then wrap it around the href. We also need to pass the method, and then the method is gonna be equal to post right here, because when you come into our views, we are now overwriting the post method. All right, so at this point, I think we are good to go, but then we shouldn't also forget to add a CSRF token. So I'm just gonna come right under the form and then do CSRF token. Let's save changes. Okay, so this is an href and we don't need an anchor tag. So I'm gonna remove the href. Then we come to the anchor tag right here and I'm just gonna replace it with a button. So I'll do button like this. And now the button like this, and it actually closes it over here. We also need to give it a type, and then the type is going to be equal to, we're gonna do submit right here. And I think we are good to go. I'm just gonna save changes, come to our front end and then refresh. Now we are seeing 16 notifications, 16 unread notifications, and we are also seeing it right here. Now when I click on this button, it's supposed to actually reduce it to 16, 15, and this particular notification is gonna be filtered out. So I'm just gonna click on that. And now we are seeing notification. It's not a registered namespace. And that's true, because when you come into our notification mark as read, now we are redirecting to notification instead of notifications. And we are actually getting it from when you go into Swift app, click, and now notification is notifications. That's the namespace for that. Okay, so I'm just gonna save changes to all the files we have modified, and now we can now refresh and then resend. And now we are seeing 15 notifications. The first notification has been filtered out. So it's 15 now. We should also click and remove this create backend for vSIMs, and now it is now 14. Okay, so guys, this actually solves our problem, but we need to optimize our code. All right, so what we are going to be doing at this point is to come to our notifications model. Inside the notification model, I want us to create a model function. So this model function is actually going to do the mark as read. If you remember, we are doing everything right here, notifications, and we are actually saving the notification, getting the notification here, and then also setting the notification to .read to true, and then we are also saving the notification right over here. But I just think that it is better to come as a model method. So inside the model for the notification, we're gonna do def, and here we're gonna give it a name as mark as read like that. And now it is actually going to accept self. That is going to be the instance of the notification we want to mark as read. Now when we come into our function, we can now copy this part. So this part is going to be where we set it. I'm just gonna copy it and then bring it to the bring it into the model. So here I can just paste it like that. And now we don't have access to the notification variable, but then we have access to self, and self is the instance of the notification. So I could paste it here and then also paste it right here. And that is actually going to do all the work for us. So when we come back into our function, we can now just delete all of this. And now we could do notification like this dot mark as read, because now we are getting access to that function, and that should actually solve all our problems for us. Okay, so now let's go back here, refresh the page, and we have 14 notifications. So I'm gonna click on mark as read, and it moves to 13, mark, and it moves to 12. Perfect. So this way, this function can be reused over and over. Guys, if you found this tutorial very helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and then share. And I'm just going to see you in the next video. Bye-bye. All right, guys, welcome back. So there is a small issue with our current setup. The issue has to do with when a logged in user creates a project. Now the logged in user still gets a copy of the notification. So that means the logged in user who created a notification, who actually created a project and triggered the notification, still gets a copy of the notification. So that means he becomes the actor and a recipient at the same time. And that's something we want to avoid. So let's go into one of our notifications. Let's click on this. And here you're going to realize that the recipient is Gentech and then the actor is Gentech. So that means when this notification was created, this person was the logged in user. He actually triggered the notification. We do not want a situation whereby the actor becomes a recipient at the same time. So this is going to actually lead to a situation whereby you get your own notification, and that's something we need to avoid. So let's go back into our teams. So this is the teams that we have actually opened, one of the teams, and we have the Python team. So the Python team, I am the logged in user, and if you take a look at the members here, I'm still part of the members, and I'm the one that also created the project. When I update a project, I'm still going to get a copy of the notification. So let's prove that. So to prove that, I'm just going to come here and take a look. We have this project creates a logo. So when you scroll down, it's actually assigned to, let's see, assigned to the Python team. And Python team is a team that I'm also a member of, and I'm also now going to trigger the notifications. But before we even trigger the notification, look at the number of notifications I have here, 12. Now I'm just going to update this notification. Let me project and then add another was spelled wrong. So I'm just going to remove this and then come back here and then click on save. All right. So now I think a new notification is created. So I'm just going to go to the front end and we have 12. I'm just going to refresh. And now we have 13. It says project updated, create another logo. So another has been updated. I am the one who triggered the notification. Let's go back into the backend and then take a look at the notification. So I'm gonna go into notification, and here I'm just gonna click on that, and we have recipient, hider, and John Tech, the actor. That's because we have 3 members and each person is going to receive a copy. Let me check the one that belongs to the Gentech. I'm just gonna click on this and we have recipient, Gentech, and then the actor as Gentech. Okay, so this is something that we need to avoid, and to do that, I'm just gonna go into our code where we have the task. So I have now opened into task and we need to implement a solution right here. So this time around, we were doing members, and the members was project.team.members.org. That means it's actually going to fetch every team member, and that was what it was doing right here, regardless of the fact that the logged in user is also part, or the person initiating the notification is also part of the team member. That's why it created one notification for Gentech. We need to actually exclude him from it. So what we are going to be doing is to, instead of all, we are just going to exclude. So notification dot, and now we need to exclude, and the person we are going to exclude from this is going to be ID is equal to, we say project dot, and now we're going to go for the owner dot, owner dot ID. Okay, so this is actually going to exclude the person who is the owner of this particular project. So if somebody is initiating this and the person is the owner of the project, the person is actually going to be excluded from this list. So now notification, instead of fetching all the team members, is actually going to fetch and exclude the owner if the owner is also part of the team members. And now when we do for recipient in members, then it's actually going to exclude that. So let me save changes. And now that we have actually modified our task, we need to close our salary worker. So I'm gonna have to start it again over here. And then I'm also gonna go here and then kill our salary bit and then restart that one as well. Perfect. So at this point, let's take a look at the notifications we have. We have now 13 notifications over here. All right, so at this point, we go back into our admin and then want to modify the same project. So I'm just gonna click on that. But before I do anything, let's go back and we see the number of notifications. Let me refresh first. We see the number of notifications. We have 13 notifications. Okay, so again, let's go into our notification and see the total number of notifications we have right here. And it's gonna be 127 notifications. And then the team members are 1, 2, 3. So initially, it was going to create 3 more notifications, including Gentech, the logged in user. But this time around, we expect that it creates only 2 notifications and exclude Gentech from it. So again, we have 127 and I have 13 notifications here. Let's go back and then add another modification to the description and then click on save. Okay, so now it's assumed that notification has been created. So let's go into the notification. Now it's 127. Let's refresh to see, and it's now 129. So notification has been created for the 2 other members excluding Gentech. And now when I come here and then refresh, I still have 3 notifications. Another way we could have actually done this is to leave it at how it was, like this .all, but what we could be doing is to come here and then use a condition. So the condition is gonna be if, then we say project.owner. So we want to get a project. If the project.owner, the owner of the project, is not equal to recipient, that is the only time we want to create this notification. So when we do this, it's actually going to get the list of all the team members, including the logged in user. But when it comes to creating the notification, it will check if this condition is met. If the condition is met, then it will create the notification, else it's just gonna exclude it. But one thing you have to take notice is when it happens like this, the return shouldn't be inside of the for loop, because if you do that, it's just gonna create the first notification and will not create the subsequent one. But I'm just gonna stick with the first solution. All right, so this is a valid solution and it works very well when we are in development, because here we can just clear our database of all the notifications and start creating new notifications. And the way we have implemented it now, we are not going to have a notification whereby the user is the actor and then the recipient at the same time. But what happens when we are in the production and this has actually happened already? We need to filter it out. So regardless of what we have done here, which is actually going to prevent the creation of the notification, we also need to implement another way where we assume that we are in the development environment and the notification has been created already. So we need to filter these notifications out. So what we are going to be doing is to go back into our models here, and inside our models, we need to modify our onRead function. But before we even go ahead and then modify our onRead function, I'm just going to go into a notification and look for a notification that actually belongs to Gentech. So the person, Gentech, is now the recipient and then the actor at the same time. And when we go back here and then refresh our application, that notification is part of what you are seeing here. Even though we have actually fixed it, now subsequent notification is not going to be created. When the person is the actor, it's not going to create a notification for the person as a recipient anymore. But the notification that has been created already are still being shown on the person's dashboard. And that's something we want to fix at this moment. So we are now thinking about when we are in the development, we actually need to filter them out. And so let's go ahead and then implement it. So when we come here, the onRead, first we are actually passing only soft.
But what we're going to be doing at this point is to pass another variable that is going to be the user who is actually receiving this notification. So now we are going to do self.filter and red is equal to false. Then we need to use dot, and then we're gonna do exclude right here. And the person we need to exclude is gonna be the user that we have passed over here. So I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it on the red, even though we are not using the red as of now, but it's also going to follow the same thing. The moment we do this, dots on red is now accepting another argument or variable, another argument that is going to be the user. So then we will have to go onto our views wherever we have used dot on red, and now we need to pass this argument that is going to be self.request.user. Okay, so I'm just gonna scroll down, go back into, so that is for the notification. Let's go into accounts where we have also implemented a dashboard, and wherever we are doing on red, we're also gonna have to pass request, because here we have access to request, so we don't need to do self. So you can do request.user. Let me scroll down, and we are also using on red here, so we need to pass self. We don't have access to request, so it's a self.request.user, and I'm just gonna scroll down. Okay, so let's also go to projects. I think we have also implemented a number of functionalities over there. I'm gonna scroll to the very top where we are doing the dot create. We have on red, and we do self.request.user. Perfect. So we scroll down again, and we have on red. So we do self.request.user like that. I'm just gonna scroll down again where we are doing the list. We also have on red, and do self.request.user. Okay, scroll down, and I don't think we have any of them available again. So I'm just gonna save changes to all these files, toggle into the full screen, and now hopefully when I refresh, this 13 should be reduced, because now this notification where it says the recipient is equal to Gentech and then the actor is also equal to Gentech, we want to exclude it. So I'm just gonna refresh, and the number 13 here has to be reduced. So we say user object is not iterable. So let's see what is actually happening. All right, so I think the issue is coming from how we are excluding the user. So we say exclude user, but that's not how it should be. The actor should be equal to the user. So the person that we are excluding is going to be the actor. So when the actor is equal to the logged in user, we exclude those kind of notification. And let me save changes, check to see if the server is running. So now the server is running, and hopefully when I refresh, everything all right. So now we are having one notification, and it makes sense all the way from 13 notification to 1, and that's because I'm the only one doing the development, and all notifications that has been triggered are the notifications that I created. I'm the actor of those notifications, with the exception of this where Ryan was the one who triggered or created a new project. That was a notification created by Ryan, and I happen to be a recipient. This is actually helpful when we are in production, and this kind of, we have actually noticed this particular bug and we want to fix it. So regardless of the implementation we did on the task to exclude the creation of notification for these people, we have also implemented a model manager, updated our model manager to filter out this notification if they exist in our database. So guys, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to like, share, comment, and I'm just gonna see you in the next video. All right guys, welcome back. So now we want to have the ability to click on each project name, and it's gonna show us, or it's gonna redirect us to the project detail. So latest project, we can click on any of these, or project near due date. And when we even go into the project list, we want to also be able to click on create like the name of the project, and it takes us to the detail view. All right, so the detail view, this is actually coming from the template. This is how it looks like. We have the banner here, or the header, and we have project detail, and that actually is going to be, let's say, the name of the project. That's what we want to set over there, and we have few data or information we need to pass. So all right, so here I'm just gonna close all these ones because I don't need them anymore, and I'm just gonna scroll down to our template. So inside the template, you could see we have project detail. So I'm just gonna click on that, and this is actually going to form the blueprint or the basis of what we are going to do. That is what we are actually seeing over here. Perfect. So I'm just gonna scroll to project and then views, and now we need to create our function, our class, to actually handle that. So here I'm just gonna create a class and call it project detail view. So it's a class, and the name of the class is gonna be project detail view, like this, and it's actually going to be inheriting the detail view like that. Okay, so we need to import detail view. I'm just going to scroll to the very top, and where we are doing create view, list view, we're going to bring a comma and then paste the detail view right there. All right, so from here we can now add some few things. So all right, so from here, we're just going to do model, and it's going to be the model we want to query from. So that is going to be our project model. And we also need to pass a template name. So that is going to be the path of the template we want to use. And this time around, it's just going to be in projects /project _ detail .html. All right, this template doesn't exist, so I'm just gonna copy the name and then come to project. Inside the template, I need to create a file called project detail project _ detail .html html, like this. Perfect. So I'm just gonna save changes. Right after this, I need to copy this and then import it into our URLs. I'm just gonna wrap this one like this, and then I'm just gonna bring them down like that. I'm just gonna paste this one right here. Okay, so now we need to define the URL. So I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it right here. So first of all, we are going to get a project by ID. So I'm just gonna bring this, and then the type of the project ID. The type of the project ID is gonna be UUID : and it's just gonna be the PK, like that. Right from there, we also need to pass the name of the view. I'm just gonna paste it right here, and I'm just gonna call it project detail. So project dash detail like that. So now that we have done this, we're gonna go onto our dashboard.html. So dashboard.html, and search for latest projects. So we have latest projects like this. Okay, so now we're gonna scroll to where we have latest projects. So it's a latest projects like this. Let's go through latest project. All right. Okay, so here you're gonna have to clear everything right here and do URL, and the URL is just gonna be project : project dash detail like this. And now we need to pass the ID of the project. So it's just gonna be project dot ID like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy it and look for where we have the latest, look for where we have the project near due date. So let me scroll down to where we have that one, and project near due date, and here I'm just gonna copy it. I'm just gonna paste it right here. And then we're gonna also go to project list. Scroll down to where we have project list, and then we're going to look for the name of the project. And where we have the name of the project, I'm just going to paste this one right here. Right after that, we can just save changes and then refresh our application. So I'm just going to go here, refresh, and then click on this. And now it's sending us to this empty page. All right, perfect. So now you are seeing this page because the template that we created has nothing in it. But there are a few things we can do over here. So we can now do object. We can now do object, object like this, and it's just gonna send us the object. So now you are seeing create backend for bsims. Perfect. We can also do object.name and it's just going to give us the same thing. This time around, we are trying to access the name of this particular object, and it's going to give us the same thing. So there are a couple of things that we can do at this place, but before we even go ahead and do anything, I'm just going to close this and that because I don't need them anymore. We could also do another thing. So instead of calling it object, because by default detail view passes object as a context variable to the front end, but we could also override that and do context underscore object name, and now we want to call it project, so we could do project over here, project, and now we can just access project at this part. So instead of doing object.name, we could do project.name, and that should give us the same thing. So let me save changes and then refresh, and now we are seeing the same thing. Perfect. Now we're gonna extend the base.html. So we do extends and do base.html, save changes, and now we are going to have it loading our blueprint right here. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is to actually load the template, this very one. So I'm just going to go to the sidebar, scroll to where we have project detail, and then I'm going to search for main content. So main content like this, and inside the main content, we are just going to copy everything. So I'm just going to copy everything within the section. Oh, sorry, not cut, but copy. And then we're going to come into our projects detail, and now we're gonna do block content, and you say content like this. So let me cut the ending here, and then within it, I'm just gonna paste our page specific details here. Now I can just save changes and then come back to where we have this empty page and then refresh. So this is what you are seeing. All right, guys. So now at this point, we want to set this. Actually, is coming from the template. All these ones are coming from the template, but we need to pass all these ones as a context and then get it on our front end right here. So I'm just gonna go into the template, and inside the template, we scroll to where we have the amount spent and all that, the estimated amount and all this information. So the first thing we're going to be doing is to, first of all, let's check on our template. We have project detail. I want to set the name of the project as the header here. So instead of project details, we're going to have the project name. So here we can just wrap this one up like this, and we're going to do project dot name. So we're gonna refresh and then see what we have over here. So now we have create backend for bsims. Now let's go on to the estimated budget. Before we even go on to the estimated budget, let's go into our models and then inspect our budget first. So when you scroll down here, we said budget and we have total amount spent. We have total amount spent, and then the estimated duration. So those are the things that we have over here. All right, so let's go scroll down, and then we have estimated. So for the estimated budget, now we can just wrap this like this, and then do project dot, and we check our model. So in the model, we have total amount spent. So that is what we are going to put over here. It's gonna give us the total amount spent, and I'm just gonna copy this total amount spent. Okay, total amount spent. Okay, so let's save changes. You're gonna refresh, and we are now seeing none, and that's because the budget fields are not compulsory to add, so it's actually going to return none. But we need to use conditions to fix this one so that we don't see none like that. So first of all, we're going to make a condition. So we say if, and the condition is that if a project if a project is half even the total amount, then we're going to go ahead and then show the total amount else. So we're going to go ahead and then show the total amount. So I'm just going to cut this one and bring it here. So else, so you're gonna bring else here. So the else case is gonna be when the project is not having the total amount. So you're gonna put 0 over here. So let me save changes and then refresh so that this none now becomes 0. So let's refresh, and now we have 0 here. Okay, so that means I'm just gonna go here and then copy everything to the end, come to where we are trying to show the amount spent. So we're gonna have this, and instead of doing project the total amount, let's come to the model and then copy amount spent. You're gonna have amount spent here, there, and then the final one is that is all. And then I'm just also gonna copy it another time, copy it once again, and then come to where we have the estimated project duration. So chances are that some projects are not going to have the estimated duration filled. So for that matter, we need to add project dot estimated duration and estimated duration. So if it is not having an estimated duration, it's just gonna be 0. So we need a way to also pass something like days to it. So let me come here and then do days like this. So if it is having a estimated duration, it's just gonna be in days, and we now can now refresh it like this, and now we are not having anything. Let's look at this project's backend for create backend for BSIM. So I'm just gonna go into the admin, so and then we're gonna scroll to project, look for this particular project and add some few budget details. So the total amount spent, let's say the total amount, let's say $45 is gonna be okay to do this. And then the amount spent, let's say $5 has been spent. Then the estimated duration, let's say we can do it probably in 2 days, and then click on save changes. All right, so at this point, I'm just gonna refresh, and now we have 45 and $5 spent, and now in 2 days. But if there is nothing, we're just gonna display 0. All right, so there are a couple of information we also need to pass, because now when you look at the notification, we are not seeing any notification here, and then the banner over here has no information, so we don't even know whether we are on the project detail view or not. And then when you come here, we are supposed to set the name of our application or project that we are working on, and we should also have a description. And then we're also going to have the client company and then the team lead. So these ones we can just set them without even passing any context. But for the rest, we need to actually pass context. So let's do these ones, which are easy to do right away. So I'm just going to scroll to where we have the team lead. Search for team, even search for client company first. So client company. So now we can just wrap this one like this and then do project dot client underscore company like that. And we also need to get the project lead. So I'm just gonna wrap this one like this, and now we can do project. So we're gonna say project dot team dot, and then we need to get team underscore lead like this dot profile. So we need to enter into the profile dot full underscore name like this. What we are actually doing is inside the projects model, we have the team. So here we are seeing the team over here. So when you click on the team, you're gonna also have another field called team lead. So that's what we are having. We are having project.team.team lead. So now we are getting the team lead over here, and the team lead is of user instance. But then when you come into the accounts where we have the profile, every user has a profile, and inside the profile we say user, which is of user instance, and the related name is actually profile. That's what we do, profile. So the moment we do profile, it actually gets into the profile model right here, and now we could do dot full name. So that's where we are having dot full name right here. So let's save changes and then refresh our application, and hopefully this one should be set, and this one as well should be set. And now we are having none. C. So okay, let's go back here, and we have C over here. So let's clear that one and come back and then refresh, and now we are seeing none. Okay. All right, so now this is something we need to fix. So let's look at the div, and this is the div. Okay, but let's come to the paragraph here. So we have to wrap this in the condition. So you can say if, and now we need to check to see if the project has a client company. Then we're gonna render this paragraph. If not, we don't render it at all. So you could do project dot client underscore company. If it exists, we go ahead and then render this paragraph. If not, we're just gonna skip it and not render it right here. So let's save changes, refresh, and now you are not seeing client company because the project has no client company. I'm just gonna go into the back and click on that, and for the client company, I'm just gonna do Gentech like this, come back here and then save changes, go back into our project detail, refresh, and hopefully we should see Gentech right here. So now there is a client company, and now it is actually rendering this particular paragraph. Perfect. All right, guys. So at this point, there are a couple of things we need to set. We actually need to give the project a title. So you could see Swift Hub and then the title. So it's going to be the project name. We need to set it from the back end to the front end. And again, we also need to show the banner here information. On all our pages, we are just pulling this information from the back end. So we need to also pass it. There are a couple of things we can also do here. The name of our project, Swift Hub, you can just hard code it into the template, but I don't want us to do it like that. We need to pass it from the back end to the front end, and then the description of it as well. So I'm just gonna go into our views. So let me close this one and close this. So close this one as well. Inside our view, we have get context data on the project due list view. So I'm just going to copy this get context data right from here, and then I'm just going to paste it right underneath like this. Okay, so at this point we're going to need to copy the project detail view into this like that. But when you come here, the header, we actually want to do it. So let's go back onto our template, and the template, it says project detail. So I'm just gonna copy it and then paste it right here. So let me paste it right here and save changes, refresh over here, and we are now seeing project detail, and it's also being set over here. Now, a couple of contexts we need to pass. First, I just also want to pass title of the project. So title, so we're gonna say title like this, and then the title is just gonna be, so at the very top over here where we see Swift Hub, we want the user to be able to see the name of the project, like create backend for BSIM. So that is what we have to do. And the way we are going to do that is in a detail view. The moment we inherit detail view, we can have access to a method called get object. So we just have to overwrite it, or we just have to get it over here. So we say self.get underscore object, that is right here. And now that is going to give us the object, but we need to get the name of that object. So name, and that is going to get the name of our project. And now that we have done this, we could come back and then scroll to the very top over here. And at the very top, we need to call our block title. So we have block title like this. And inside the block title, we need to pass our title over here. So we say title like this. And then the next is just gonna be bringing this pipe, and we're gonna do block.super. So block.super like this. Block.super is actually going to, block.super is actually going to go into our base.html. So let's go into template, base.html, and this is our block title. And then the super is the Swift tab you have actually passed over here. So that is what we are doing, block.super. But then we need to get a title that we are passing over here. So let me save changes, refresh for you to see it in action. So I'm gonna refresh and wait, and now we have create backend for bsims, and then we bring the pipe, and then we have the Swift hub, that is the super. From there, we also need to pass a couple of contests. Okay, so the next one is just going to be the name of the project we have created, a Swift app. So I'm just going to do context, and I'm just going to bring this square brackets and double quote like this, and we're going to call it my underscore company. Guys, you can call it anything. And this is the variable we want to pass to the backend. But then the value is just going to be Swift hub. Swift hub like that. Okay, so now that we have Swift hub, you can accept it on our back end here. So here we have admin LTE. So I could search for admin LTE right here, admin LTE, and that is it right here. So here I can just accept my company like this. So let me wrap it and do my underscore company like that. We're gonna save changes, refresh to see it in action, and now we are not seeing any detail. Wow. My company. Okay, so we need to save this one. We didn't save it. I'm gonna save it, come back, refresh, and now you're seeing Swift app. Okay, so the next context we want to pass is the description. So if you look at this, we have a description for the name of the project, the Swift app. So that one, I'm just gonna copy and then paste it right here. So the name of the variable is my company description, and we say Swift app is a robust something something. So we need to now accept it on our front end. So you're gonna scroll to where we have the description, and now I can just replace everything right here with my company description, and I need to close it like that. We're gonna come back and then refresh, and now we are not seeing anything. Okay, so that's because we didn't also save this one. We forgot to save it. So I'm gonna save changes, come here and then refresh, and now we are seeing the description of the company or the projects we are building right here. So guys, I'm just gonna leave it here. These ones, the project files, the comment section, and even the Kanban board and all that is something we are going to do in our subsequent videos. All right, guys, so now we are at the point of working on the comments of the project. So we need to go ahead and then create our comments app. So I'm just gonna come here and then bring out my terminal like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill my server and then create the comment app. So we're gonna say Python money.py start app, and the name of the app is gonna be comments like this. We wait for the comment app to be created. So now when you scroll up here, you're going to see the comment is created over here. All right, so just so that we don't forget, I'm just gonna go into the Swift hub looking for the settings. So I'm just gonna go into Swift hub and then settings. Then we're gonna have to add comments to the installed apps. So I'm gonna do comments like this, like that. Okay, so now we need to create our comment model. I'm just gonna scroll down. I'm just gonna open the comment model, But the way we want to build our comment app is going to be similar to the notification. So inside our notification, we can have the ability to create notification for all the models in our application. We don't want to build a notification just for one particular app. That's the same way we want to have our comments, so that we can have comment app created that can be used on all of our models. So I'm just going to scroll, look for notifications, open the notification model, and now I'm just gonna copy everything from here. Copy the model itself, and then go back into the comments, then into the models. Just gonna paste everything right here. Okay, so we're gonna have to rename some of these things. So instead of notification, you're gonna make it comment like this. We don't need a recipient for the comment, but we're gonna need a user, so the person making the comment. And it's actually gonna be a foreign key to the user model. So when a user is actually deleted, we just wanna go ahead and then delete all the comment of this particular user. And when we query for this particular user, we can do the user dot comment to get the user's comment, or all the comments made by this particular user. We also don't need a verb, so I'm just going to delete the verb, but we need content type, and that is coming from the content type framework. So I'm just going to go back into our notification models, and inside the notification models, I'm just going to copy everything, every import, and then paste it right here. Perfect. So models is coming twice, so I'm just gonna delete one of them. I'm just gonna also collapse the sidebar. Perfect. Now we have the content type, content object ID. So the content type, like I explained in our earlier videos, is just gonna be so that it's gonna give us the ability to make comments on all the models inside our application. Perfect. And then the object ID this time around is just going to be the ID of the specific object. So let's say we are making comments on the project model. So the content type is just going to be the project, but then the object ID actually is going to be the ID of the specific project you are making the comments on. And then the content object is just going to use the generic foreign key. So this is going to be a combination of the content object, which is going to be in the project, and then the object ID, and then query for that particular object. And we also want to have created ad, that is when the comment is actually created. And then red is just coming from the notification, we don't need it. And we also don't need the notification manager. And here by default, we actually want to return an f string, and then it's just gonna be comments. So we want to say comment meant by. So this is how it's going to show. Then we're gonna have self.user, so the person making the comment. So self.user like that. Then the rest is just gonna be self.content object. Okay. And we also want to order all notification by the dates that it was created. So that we can get the current date, the current notification at the top. That's why we are using the negative sign here. Now that we have done this, we can just bring up our terminal, and here we need to make migrations. So first, I'm gonna say Python money.py make migrations like this, and we wait for migrations to be made. So now you see create model comments. So that is going to be the migration we are making over there. And now we need to write the changes to our database. So we do Python money.py migrate, and this is actually going to permanently write the changes into our database. Perfect. So now it has now applied this migration. Right from here, we need to add our comment model into the admin. So I'm just gonna bring the sidebar here, and you're gonna have to import. Let me delete all these things and say from dot models import, and we are now going to import comments like that. And now we're gonna say admin dot site dot register, and now we can register our comment model like that. Perfect. Let's save changes and then go back to our admin. So where is the admin page? Okay, right here. I'm just gonna refresh, and we should see comment registered over here. So we now have comment. Perfect. So now we need to manually add a couple of comments into our some of our projects. So I'm just gonna come here and then select the user. Now this time around, Gentech is now the user making the comment. And then the content type is just gonna be on our project. You see how I was telling you using the content type will actually allow us to make comment on any of our models in our application. So this time around, it's just gonna be on the project and then the object ID. So here, I'm just gonna go into the project, open it in a new tab, and let me see the project that we are viewing the details. Let me close the template here. So now we are here, creates backend for BSIMS. Okay. So I'm just gonna go here and then now I can pick the ID of this particular project. So it starts from here to this part, copy it, and then come into the comment. So the object ID is just gonna be the ID of this particular project. Okay, so there are certain things, a couple of things we actually forgot. Now we need to make a comment, and this particular comment, this particular model has no place to enter your comments. We need to come back and then add it right here. So on top of the created ads, I'm just gonna do comment, and now the command is just gonna be models dot test field. So you're gonna use test field right here, and it's actually compulsory to fill. So we are not going to pass any null is equal to true or something like that. So let's save changes, and now we need to make migrations again. So Python money.py make migrations, and this is actually going to write it. So now it's telling us we should pass one of default, and I'm just gonna do one, and then it says we should time zone, well, time zone dot now like this. Okay, sorry, time zone dot now like this, and now let's do Python money migrate like this, and then now we can just make the migration. So we go back and then refresh this part. Now we are seeing that comment is actually here. That is going to be the field where we take our message for the comment. Okay, so I'm just gonna do comment by Tachifa, and then it's just gonna be on the project model. And here the object ID is what we actually copied, and say maybe thanks for adding me. Well, you have to have something very descriptive. I'm just gonna make up this and then click on save. Now we have comment by Gentech on this particular project. So you can click and then see the comment that we made. I'm just gonna make another comment on the same project, this time around by Hyder, and the content type is just gonna be project. Come here and then paste the ID, and we say nice project, nice project. When can we meet? Okay, so it's a question like that, and then click on save changes. So now we have two comments in our model, and all these comments are just going for one particular project, like you see over here. So this is where I'm just gonna leave things, and in the next video, you're gonna see how we can retrieve project specific comments onto the project detail view. All right, guys, so let's go to the comment section. We have recent comments. So we need to display all comments made on this particular project. We need to show all of them right here. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to be doing is to go back into our Visual Studio Code, and I'm just going to look for projects, and then I'm going to go into the project views. So I'm also just going to collapse the sidebar right here. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down, and here I just want to define a variable. So you say project, and we need to get that particular project. And remember, we do self.getObject.name. That is actually the project. I just don't want to define it, do the same thing over here, and then it's like I'm repeating myself. So I'm just gonna set project to self.getObject, and now we can do the title is just going to be project.name. So now we are using project here, and we're also using project here. All right, so the next thing we want to do is to get the content object. Remember when we're creating comments, when you come here, we said we can make comment for any of the models in our app. So we need to tell Django which of the models that we want to make the comment for. So we need to define the content type. So we're going to say content underscore type right here, and it's actually going to be equal to the content types. So it's just gonna be equal to content type. So we need to import content type, but we have already imported content types in our model. So I'm just gonna copy that and come to the very top here and then paste our content type right here. Okay, so now that we have access to the content type, we could scroll to where we're working on the content type, and we're gonna say content type dot, and we could do objects dot, and then the next thing we wanted to do is get for model. So we can get for that particular model we want to query from, the particular model we want to query from, and this time around the model is going to be project. So we also need to make sure that project is already imported. I think project is imported, that's why we're able to even use it at the top here. This actually is going to give us the content type we want to query from. Perfect. Now that we have had a content type, you need to get the comments for this particular content type, in this case project. So we say comments, that is a variable, and now we're going to get the comments for this particular project. So first, let's come into comment model, and we have content object. So the content object here is a generic foreign key, and it's actually accepting the content type, which we have actually defined over here, and it's also accepting object ID. Okay, object ID. So the object ID is just going to be the project ID, and then the content type is what we have actually defined over here. So now we go into the comment model, we say comment.objects, but we need to import comment at the very top over here. So I could do from comments.models import, and we're going to import comment, and comment is what we are using at the very down here. So we say comment dot objects, and now we need to dot objects dot filter. So you're gonna need to filter the comment model or the table to get comment that actually belongs to this particular project. So now we're gonna have to pass our content type, and the content type is gonna be equal to content type right here. So content type, which is this, is now equal to the content type we have defined over here. And then the next argument you're going to have to pass to get the comment for this particular model, for this particular project, like we did over here, is the object ID. And now our object ID is just going to be object ID is going to be equal to project.id over here. Perfect. So now we can choose to print our comment to see in our console. So print, and we say comment like that. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to save changes, bring up my terminal, and then go here. So you're going to refresh the page to see whether we are going to get our comments. So refresh, and we don't have any error here. But then inside the console, I'm going to scroll up a bit, and we have comments. So query set, we have comment. This comment is made by Haida, and this same comment is also made by Gentech on that particular project. So now that we are seeing the comments are actually coming through, we can pass it as a context over here. I can now comment this one out and come down here and then make a context. So say context like this, and we're going to provide a square bracket, double quote, and we say comments, and this comment is equal to the comment we have actually queried over here. I'm going to copy it just so I don't make a mistake, and then paste it over here. So now this comment is passed as a context, and we're going to accept it like this. So now I can just save changes, go back into our project detail.html here, and I'm also going to collapse the sidebar like this. we're going to scroll or search for recent comments. Okay, so we have recent comment. And when you come onto our page, we have 1 to 3 comments. So we're going to need only one of those, then loop through. Okay, so first one is this. It ends over here. So if you take a look, the first one ends over here. Okay, that is what you're going to maintain. For the rest, I'm just going to collapse this, the first one, second one, and then I'm just going to delete all of them. I'm going to save changes, refresh to see if everything is working the way it has to. We have 1 comment right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now let's loop through this. So we're going to say for, and I'm just going to say comment. We are going to call a single one comment in comments like what we passed over here. So I can just copy that variable and then bring it over here. So that's what you're looping through. Now I can cut the end of the for loop and then bring it to this very part. So paste it over here. Now everything is wrapped inside the for loop. I also want to bring a space over here. Okay, so now the next thing we can do is to get the profile picture of the person making the comment. So I'm just going to remove everything from here and we can just wrap it like this and say comment. That is the individual comment dot, and then we're going to say user dot. Then inside the user dot, so user dot, then we're going to say profile dot. And so that was going to actually keep us or put us into the profile model. And then we're going to say profile underscore picture underscore URL like this. So that is going to give us the profile picture. And we can also copy this very one, copy it, come to where it shows the name of the person making the comment. And now we are going to do comment the user dot profile. By this time around, we say full underscore name like this, like this. And where it says shared publicly, we want to know the date where it was actually shared. So here we are also going to wrap it like this, and we do comments dot, this time around, created at, and we're gonna pipe it to the time since. So you say time since over here. Okay, now we need to display the actual comment or what the person actually wrote. And I'm also gonna wrap it like this, clear everything inside, and we say comments dot, and it's going to be comments again, comments, because on our model where we are writing the entire text or the message we want to put across is called comment. You can give it any name like content or whatever. In our case, we chose comment, so it's going to be comment for the individual comment dot comment, that field, the message that we want to pass. And now we can save changes, bring up our terminal to see if everything is running, and sure, everything is running. Now we can just refresh, and now we are seeing recent comments, and Haida made a comment, recent project, when can we meet? And then the next one was for myself, thanks for adding me to the project. All right, guys, so if you found this tutorial very helpful, don't forget to like, comment, share, and I'm just gonna see you in the next video. All right, guys, welcome back. So the reason why we built our comment models using generic foreign key and content type is to be able to make comments on any of the models in our app, and that can be seen over here. So when you come to content types, you can actually make comments on any of the models you see here. We can choose to make comments on the Teams app, on the tags, on the user profile, and any of the models you see over here. But when you come into our views where we are actually retrieving the comments in the post detail page, we are writing a whole lot over here. And again, we are also importing content type at the very top. So in whichever view, suppose you want to now make a comment on task model and then we want to retrieve it. So that means you're going to have to import our content type on that particular view or in that particular file and then use it. But what happens when we want to also make comments on any of these models? So it's going to mean that we have to repeat ourselves too much, and that's something we want to avoid. Again, we want to make our views very cleaner. So at this point, I'm just gonna go into the comments model, and then we can now create a model manager for our comments. So this query for retrieving comments for a specific project or a specific model is just gonna be here so that we can actually reuse it over and over. So what I'm gonna be doing is to create a class, and this class is gonna be called comment model or comment manager in short, comment manager like that. And now this is actually going to inherit. So we say models dot manager like this. All right. So now that we have this, we need to define a function. So this function is going to be get for filter by instance, filter by instance like this, instance like this. Okay, so what we're essentially doing is first of all to pass self like this. I also want to pass instance. Okay. So first we need to get the content type, and the content type could either be project, it could be any model in our application. So we say content type. So everything we have actually defined over here on our views for the project detail coming from here. I'm just gonna copy this one right here. So I'm gonna copy it and then come to the filter by instance over here, and we say content type dot objects dot get for model. And now instead of passing project, we don't want to hard code it. Passing by project actually means that we can only make comments on the project model, and that actually defeats the purpose of using content type. So we're gonna pass the instance over here. So we have instance like this, and now what we can do is to return. So you're gonna return, and what we're gonna be returning is gonna be self.filter and self.filter, and we're gonna filter by content type. So let's go again into our models and how we are just filtering it. So I'm gonna copy everything right here and then bring it back to our model and paste it over here. So instead of comments, we're gonna do self.filter, and content type is gonna be equal to the content type we have defined over here. And then the object ID is gonna be, instead of project ID, we don't know what is gonna be passed. It could be a task, it could be profile, it could be anything. So we're gonna do instance dot ID over here. So that is essentially what we're gonna be returning. Now I'm just gonna come here and then copy the model manager, come to the very bottom here, and we're gonna do objects like this, objects, and it's gonna be equal to the model manager right here. Perfect. Now onto our project detail page. We can now go ahead and then comment or delete the import for content type. You don't need it anymore, so we can now delete it. And then I'm going to scroll back down to the very bottom over here, and now we also don't need this because it's not important anymore. But then our comment.objects.filter, and we're gonna do filter by instance. That is going to be our model manager we have over here, filter by instance, and the instance is just gonna be the project. So that is going to be the object that we want. So it's going to be project like this, which we have actually defined over here. And that project is going to be passed to this one. That is going to be the instance. And then we can now get the ID over here. So now I'm just going to save changes. And guys, that's all that we need to do. We're going to come here and then refresh our application, and we are still getting our comment. Perfect. All right, guys, so at a point in time, you're going to have too many comments. So the comment on a single project is going to be plenty. And in order to improve the user experience, you don't have to retrieve all comments in the project at once. So you're going to have a way of actually showing a certain number of comments for them, and when they choose to view more of the comment, they can click on a button. That is going to be the pagination. So we need to do the same thing for our project, or the comments on our project over here. And the way we are going to do it is to first of all import a paginator. So I'm just going to come here and do from Django dot, and you're going to say core dot paginator import, and we're going to import paginator like this. Okay, so now that we have imported paginator, I'm just going to copy it and scroll to where we want to create the pagination. All right, so right under our comment, you're gonna define a paginator. You say paginator. Paginator is gonna be equal to this paginator we have imported, and this is actually gonna accept argument, 2 arguments. So the first is gonna be the list of comments we want to paginate. So we say comments, this very one, and the number of comments we want to show on the page. So we could do something like 10. Perfect. All right, so at this point, we need to define a variable to get a page number. So we say page underscore number like this. And this is going to be self dot request dot, and we're going to do get like this dot, then we get, and this is where we get a page number. So we say page. Then if you want to see what we are doing over here, when you come into all projects, so in all projects, when you click on maybe first, we are seeing page is equal to 1. So we want to get this from the request. That is what we are doing over here. All right, so that is going to be the page. And now we need to get the page object. So I'm going to do page underscore obj. We have already defined our paginator. We have created a paginator. So if you come here, we have paginator, and this paginator is using page object, with something that we have done previously. So you're going to utilize the same thing and do page object, and the page object is now going to be paginator. The paginator we have defined at this point, that is actually taking our comments dot, and this actually has a function called get page number. So get page. And now we can actually get the page, and we pass the page number to it like this. So now that we have done this, that is all that we need to do. I'm going to copy this and come to where we are sending comments on the page. So instead of comments, we can now do page objects, and here we could do page objects. So we are now not sending comments, but we are sending a paginated comment. So I now need to come onto our post project detail, and where we are saying comment, we can now do for comment in page object like this. And let me save changes to all the files that we have modified over here. Go back to project detail, refresh, and we are still seeing our comments over here. Even though we are not passing comments, we are now passing paginated comments. But for us to see our comment, we're going to have to come back into where we are showing the comments, and right under the row over here, I'm just going to bring a space, and now we're going to include our paginator. So we say include. So let me make a comment over here and say pagination nation over here. So that's where we are including our paginator. We do include, and now we have to get the paginator. So the paginator is actually stored inside the inside our component in the template. So we say components / and then the next thing is just gonna be paginator.html like this. So we have it inside of the component. That's why we have components over here, and then the name of the file is paginator.html. So now I'm just gonna save changes. Now when we refresh, we are not going to see anything, because on the project itself we have only 2 comments, but we want to paginate by 10. So to see something on our page, let's paginate by 1, because at the moment we have only 2 comments on the project. So I'm just going to come here and then refresh the page. Now we are seeing 1 of 2, but when I click on next, we are now seeing page 2, and that is going to be the last page. I can also come to previous, and it's just going to put me on the last page. So this way we can actually set the total number of comments we want people to see on the page, so that we can improve the user experience of the whole system. All right, guys, welcome back. So now I'm on the dashboard and I just want to click on this project. So that actually takes me to the project detail view. What we're going to be doing on the project detail view is to give the users, the team members, the ability to make comments right here on the project detail instead of making comment in the admin. But before we even go ahead and do that, I just first of all want to display all the comments we have on this particular project or on each project. So we want to get the total number of comments here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into my code and I'm gonna open project and then go to project views. So inside the project view, we're gonna scroll to where we have the project detail. So this is where we have the project detail. And where we are showing this, I'm just gonna copy this particular context. That is going to be our comment. So I'm just gonna paste it right here. And I just wanna do comment underscore count. That is going to hold, or that is going to be the variable, the context variable to hold our total number of comments. And now here you see we are getting the comment for this particular post. So I'm just gonna copy this variable and paste it over here. So at this point, you can do dot count like that, and that is going to get all the comments for this particular project. So I'm just gonna save changes and then copy the variable. So now we have to pass this variable onto our post detail view. So I'm gonna scroll and then get our post detail, and then here I can search for recent comments, and where we have the recent comment, I'm just gonna do this, and then within this, I'm just gonna pick the variable for the comments count. So let's save changes and then refresh our application. And now we are seeing 0 comment. That is precisely what we wanna do. Okay, so now that this part is working, I'm just gonna go to where we have the comments. Before we can actually make comments, we need to have a place to enter the comments. So that is going to be like a text area here for us to start entering our comments. So we're going to go into our comment app, and now we can create a file inside the comment app. I'm just going to name it forms.py. Okay, so now that we have our forms.py opened or created, we're going to have to import forms. So you say from Django import, and what we want to import is forms. Okay, so now that we have imported forms, you also need to import our comment model. So we say from dot models import, and now we are importing comment like this. Okay, so now that we have imported a comment, we need to create a class for the form. So we say class, and this class is going to be comment form. That is how we are going to call it. And it's actually going to inherit from forms dot, and we have model form like this. So this one, perfect. Okay, so at this perfect. So at this point, we need to create a class called meta, and inside the class meta, we actually need to get the model. So the model we want to query from is gonna be the comment model. Okay, so from here we need to also get the fields for the form. So we say fields, and this field is going to be a list of properties. So first is going to be the comment. So when you come into our comment models, we have comment. So that is going to be the area where they type their comment. The rest of the fields, like the user and the content type and everything, we are going to get it when we are saving the comments or the form. But for now, we only need to have comments. And now that we have the comments right here, we can actually save changes and then copy this particular comment form. Okay, so now onto our views, we need to import this form. So we're gonna say from comments dot forms import, and we are going to import comment form. So now we can pick the comment form like this, and then scroll to where we are creating the comment and pass it as a context to our front end. So I'm gonna copy one of these, paste it right here, and then I'm gonna say comment underscore form. And that's how we are going to access it on our front end. So I'm going to come back into the forms.py and then get the name and then paste it right here like this. Okay, so now let's copy the variable name over here, head over to our project detail view, and right underneath here, I'm just going to access this form. So we're going to do form, comment form like this, save changes, and I need to also save changes. Okay, so now we can just refresh to see what we have. And now we have our comment form over here. Perfect. But then now the issue has to do with the size of our comment area. It's loose too big, so we have to come back into our forms and then overwrite the comment field. And the way we are going to do is to first of all access or say comment, and that is going to be the name of the field over here. And now that we have this, we're going to say forms dot, and it's actually going to be car field like that. And once we have the car field, we need to say label is equal to, and we need to say false. So we don't need a label for this. Okay, so let me save changes. And what it's going to do is to actually get rid of this comment label over here. So let me save changes and then refresh, and we don't have any label here. But the problem at this point is the comment area looks a little bit smaller, so we need to also widen it a bit. So at this point, we're gonna also say widget, and the widget is going to be forms dot, and that is going to be text area. So we say text area, and this is actually also going to take some argument. So the first argument is going to be the attribute. So, and it's a dictionary. So, and the dictionary is going to have keys and then the value. So the first key we want to pass is going to be the rows and the number of rows we want to show. So that is going to be 3. So if I should save changes and come back here, refresh, and now we are having this. Okay, so from here we can also go ahead and then want to pass the placeholder. So the next key is going to be placeholder like this, and then the placeholder is what we want to display inside of the text area. So we're going to say add your comments here, and we want to do ... like that. Okay, so we save changes and then refresh, and now we are seeing add your comments here. Perfect. All right, so now let's go back onto our project detail page. So here we want to wrap this comment form in a form. So you're gonna do form, and so the form is gonna have an action. So the action is gonna be the URL where we want to create the URL to create the comment. This time around, it's just gonna be on the post detail page. So we do dot, and then from there we also want to pass method like this, and the method is going to be post method. So we say post like that, and now I can just cut the end of the form here and then wrap it over the comment form. Perfect. So at this point we also want to wrap this particular form in a div. So what we're going to be doing is to come here and then say div, and this div is going to have a class. So, and the class is going to be call-10 like this, and I'm also gonna cut this one and then wrap it over here. Perfect. So next is to add our button. So I'm just gonna make a comment and say button. That is where we are going to add our button. And first we need to create another div. So we say div, and this div is gonna have a class, and the class is gonna be row like that. Okay, so now that we have our class, we also want to put the button itself in another div. So we say div, and now the class is just gonna be like what we have up there, call dash thing like this. And inside here, that is where we want to put our button. So the button is gonna be an input, and this input is gonna have the type of submit like that, and it is also going to have a value, and the value is going to be equal to post your comment like that, post your comment like that. And we also want to give it a class. So the class is going to be equal to btn dash success. And we also want the button to be shown. So what I mean is we want the button to be shown at the left hand side here, and we need to add extra class. So we say float dash, and it's gonna be left. Perfect. So let's save changes and see what is happening over here. So let me refresh, and this is what we have over here. Perfect. So now we want to load our crispy form tags. So what we're going to be doing is to go to the very top here and then load the crispy. So you say load and not static but crispy underscore forms underscore tags like this. And now that we have loaded the crispy form tags, we can scroll to where we have our form and then do pipe crispy like this. Let's save changes and see the effect on the front end. So now this is what you are getting. Things are looking very good. Perfect. So now we can actually submit or create a comment. Before we can create a comment, you have to create a logic for that. So here inside our project detail view, we need to override the post method. So here, I'm just going to define the post method here, post, and this is actually going to accept some argument. The first is going to be solve, and then the next is going to be request like that. And right after this, we also need to pass the args, and then we also need to pass the keyword arguments, and that is going to be star star keyword args like this. Okay. So inside the post method, we need to get our project object. So we say project, and the project is actually going to be equal to solve dot get underscore object. So we need to get underscore object like this. Okay, so this is actually going to get the object or the project for us. So at this point, we need to create our comment, but we have to make a condition because we only need team members to be able to create comment. So we have to make a condition, say if request dot user in. So the request dot user is just going to be the logged in user. If that user is in project dot team dot members dot all. So project.team.members.all is actually going to get us all the team members. So if the logged in user is in this, then we have to be able to create a comment. So you're going to say form, and the form at this point is going to be comment form. So we have the comment form already imported, and we need to pass request dot post like that. Okay, so having done this, we need to also make another condition. So we say if form dot is valid. So we say valid. Perfect. So if form dot is valid, and essentially what this method does is it actually checks to see if all validation on the form are actually checking out. For instance, if our form has a car field, and the car field has a maximum mass underscore length of 255, then our form dot is valid method is going to check to see if it is actually following that condition, and it's actually not going to allow us to submit characters more than 255. And even again on our forms here, we need to say required is equal to true. So this required is equal to true is also a validation that our form dot is valid is also going to check to see if a user is actually submitting something, and it will check to see that the form is not empty or the field is not empty. And in future, we are also going to add custom validations here, and the form.valid is actually going to make sure that all these validations are passed before we can create a comment. So let's say if all validation checks out, so we say comment. Now we want to create a comment, and it's going to be equal to form dot save, but we will not go ahead and then save it. So we say commit is equal to false at this point. And the reason is we want to attach some few details to it, because when you come into the model, we have extra fields like the user, the person creating the comment, and even the comment object itself. You have to set everything before we can save the form. So we're gonna say comment. So the first field we want to set is comment.user, and this is actually going to be equal to request.user. That is going to be the logged in user, and we say comment.content underscore object, like that, and that is going to be, that is coming from this part. So the content object is going to be equal to our post object, sorry, our project object here. And then at this point, we can now go ahead and then save our comment. So you say comment dot save, and now this actually saves our comment for us. And after we have saved the comment, we want to redirect. So we say return, and it's going to be a redirect like this. So you have to check to see if redirect is imported. So I'm going to go to the very top. Redirect is actually imported. So I will come back here and redirect. So where are we redirecting to? So we're going to redirect to the same page. So now I will do project just like this. And then we do project dash detail like this. And the project detail page actually requires extra argument. That is going to be the ID of the project. So here we say pk, and pk is going to be equal to project dot pk, like that. Okay, so if that is when the form is valid, but if the form is not valid, we can now return an error. So we can even print the error, and that is going to be form dot errors, like that. And we're going to have the full errors over here. Okay, so if the person trying to create a comment is not a team member, it's not, if this condition fails, then we want the post method to fall back onto the get method. So you're going to return, and now we are returning self.get, and we're going to pass request like that. And I'm also going to go here and then copy ask, and then the keyword ask over here. So what this essentially is doing is it's actually going to render the project detail page again, but this time around it's going to have the error. Okay, so now back onto our project detail page, under the form, we can now load our CSRF token. So it's a CSRF token, and now we have actually loaded it. So let's save changes and then go back onto our page. First of all, refresh the page. Okay, so now let's try to make our first comment. This is the first comment. Okay, so I'm just gonna click on post, and now we are seeing this. So let's check to see what the error might be. And this is what you're seeing: method not allowed post. Okay, so let's inspect our code. I'm also gonna zoom out a bit, and I think the problem is coming from the post method is actually defined under the context data. That is actually wrong. So I'm going to tab it back like this, save it, and I'm also going to go onto the project detail page, and where we have the action, I'm just going to be very explicit and do URL, and now I can say project colon, and we're going to have project dash detail like this. That is going to be the action URL, but here we also need to pass the ID of the project. So we're gonna do project.pk like this. So let me save changes, and we're gonna go back onto our page like this. And now let me refresh the page. So after we have refreshed the page, I'm just gonna have to make the comment. This is my first comment like this, then click on post, and now we are seeing this is my first comment. Let's make another comment. Hey there, click and okay, so now we have two comments coming through, but then we are seeing only one, and that's because when you come into our post detail view where we are passing the list of comments for the project, let's scroll up, we are showing only one. So the paginator, we are showing only one, but we want to show, let's say 5. Let me save changes, refresh the page, and now we are seeing the two comments coming through. And when you look at it over here, the button is right on top of the comment. So I'm also going to bring a break after the form. So I'm going to do break, do it a couple of times like that. Let me save changes and then refresh the page. Perfect. It looks like too much. So I'm going to remove, let's say 2 of them, save changes and then refresh. And now we have it like this. Perfect. Okay, so on our form here, we are saying required is equal to true. So let's see if I try to submit a comment without writing anything, whether it's gonna, and now it's telling us please fill out this. But if I put something, just a letter, and then click on post, now this comment is actually going through, and that doesn't make sense. So we want to pass a validation. We want to create a validation on this field that is actually going to check the length of the comment the person is passing, and if it is less than that, it's not going to allow them to make that particular comment. And right underneath of the class method, I'm just going to define a function, and this function is going to be clean underscore, then we bring the name of the field, and that is the comment. So just like this, and now I can just pass off. Right after this, I can say comment, and this comment is going to be equal to solve.cleaned data dot get, and now we are just going to get the name of the field, and that is going to be comment like this. After we have gotten this, we can make a condition. So we say if length, and we can say if length, and then we pass comment to it like this is less than 10. So if the length of the comment or anything that is typed into that field is less than 10, we're going to raise, and what we're going to be raising is going to be forms dot validation error, and the error we want to pass, or the message we want to pass, is comment must be at least and 10 characters long. Okay, so this is the message we want to pass, and right after that then right after that we can now return our comments. If this validation fails, if this condition actually fails, we raise this error, but if it passes, then we're going to return this field. Okay, so now let's save changes. I'm just going to bring up my terminal to see if everything is running, and sure, everything is running. So I'm going to go here, refresh the page. Now refresh the page. Before, we were able to make a comment with just 1 character. Now I'm just going to try to make a comment with just 2 characters and see. Perfect. So now we have value error, and that is comment could not be created because the data did not validate. This is precisely what we want. So let's try to make a comment that is more than the length of the validation. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to copy our description here and then paste it right inside, and then try to create this comment. And now this comment is created without issue. So in our next video, we are just going to put this validation error, the error that we had, into a nice message so that the user can see and then do the right thing. All right, guys, welcome back. So in order to improve the user experience, we want to display messages to the users when they create a comment. So these messages could be when the comment is successfully created, or maybe something happened during the creation of the comment. So we want to display a message to them. So to do that, we first of all have to import messages. So at the very top here, I'm just going to import messages. So you say from Django.contrib imports, and now we're gonna import messages like this. Okay, so after we have imported messages, we also need to make sure that the messaging framework is set up in our project. So I'm just gonna go into the main project, Swift app, and then open settings.py. So inside the settings.py, I'm just gonna go to the middleware and check if messages is actually set up. And that is true. It has actually been set up automatically by Django when we created our project. Okay, so after we have imported this, we need to scroll to where we are creating the comment. And at the very top of the return, where we save the project, we need to return a message. We need to show a message. So you're gonna say messages dot, and we're gonna say the messages could be success, it could be a warning. There are various types of tags. So success, we're gonna say success. And now we're gonna need to pass in the request like this. And after we have passed the request, we now need to pass the message we want to show. So the message you want to show is gonna be your comment. Your comment has been added successfully. Successfully, like this. This is the message we want to show. All right, so once we have done this, there's one more thing we need to do, and we're gonna have to go on to the project detail page. And right under the form where we do the break, we're gonna have to make a comment. We are making a comment and we say displaying messages like this. And now this is where we are going to display our message. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna have to do is to make a condition to check to see if there are messages coming through. So by default, the moment you use the messaging framework, Django is gonna pass messages as a context variable in your request. So you're gonna check to see if messages are coming through. So we say if messages, so that is when there are messages coming through, then we need to render. We need to render a div. So we're gonna say div, and this div is gonna have a class. So the class is gonna be equal to, so we give the name of the class, and that is gonna be messages, just like this, and we also give the column -10 like this. Okay, so inside this div, you're gonna have to loop through the messages. So I'm gonna do for, and now we're gonna go through all the messages. So that you're gonna have to go through all the messages. So I'm gonna say message in messages. So in messages. Okay, so now we need to render each message. So what we're gonna be doing is to do another div, and this div is also gonna have a class. This class is gonna be equal to alert, and we want to integrate this thing with Bootstrap classes. And then we also want to add another class, but then we have to make a condition to see if the messages is coming with tags. So like I was telling you earlier, the tags are going to be the success. So if it is success, we are actually going to display a Bootstrap class of success, alert-success. If it is warning, we want to display a Bootstrap class of alert-warning. So that is actually going to control the whole message. Okay, so we make a condition, and the condition is gonna be if, and that is gonna be if message dot tags. So if the messages are having tags, then we want to display, and what we are displaying is gonna be alert dash, then we want to get the tag of the message. So that is gonna be message dot tags like this. So in this case, we are having message of success. So the tag is going to be success. And once this message is passed through, you're going to have class of alert, then alert-success. And if that is not the case, if there is nothing, if there is no tag, we want to do the else. So the else is going to be alert-info. That is going to be the fallback, and then we can now end our if statement. So this is all that we need to do, and right after this we need to pass our message, and that is going to be message like this. All right, so at this point, let's save changes and then refresh the page. Now everything seemed to be working, and now we're gonna make a comment, and I'm just gonna say, hello there, thanks for adding me. So when I make this comments, what you're gonna be expecting is a message with a green tag or a green background. So I'm just gonna click on post comment, and now we are seeing your comment has been added successfully, and it is having the green background. That's because when you come into our views, we say message dot success, and now it was actually integrated into the bootstrap class alert dash message dash tags, and it was actually going to be replaced with alert dash success, and that is what actually gave us this message. Perfect. We said when form is valid, that is when we are going through to create a comment and we return this message. What about when the form is not valid? So here I'm just going to take this one out, and we're going to do else like this. So in the else case, we want to also show a message. That is when the form is not valid. So we're going to say messages dot, this time around the tag is not going to be success, but it's going to be warning like this. And now we need to pass the request like we did earlier. And after we have passed the request, we also need to pass forms dot, and it's gonna be form dot errors like this. And after we have passed the forms dot errors dot get, and now we are going to get the particular field. So the name of the field we are going to get the errors for is gonna be the comment field. So when we go into forms, into our comment, and then forms, we only have one field, and that is the comment field. Okay, so we get the errors for this particular one. What happens when that particular field does not exist? We don't want to run into an error. We don't want to break our code. So what we're gonna do is to pass a list of errors that we can, or messages that we can provide. And what I want to provide is, say, an unknown error occurred. I'm just gonna put a full stop like this, and then I'm gonna come here and then get the first one like that. All right, so if the form is not valid, that is when this condition fails. This else statement is going to be executed, and we are going to see this message. But at this point, when we run it, we are just going to run into errors because we actually need to run. This condition has to be run as a function. So we say form dot is valid, and we have to run it as a function like this. Okay, so now we can save changes, go back onto our front end. So we're going to have to manually trigger this error. So I'm just going to provide something that is less than 10 characters. And then I'm just going to click on post your comments. So I'm just going to do that. And now we are seeing comment must be at least 10 characters long. Okay, that is perfect. But now I can just provide a comment that is more than 10 characters. Obviously, this is more than 10 characters. And I'm just going to hit on post, and this is going to go ahead and then create our comment for us. All right, so if you look at the very top here, we made a condition that if the logged in user is team member, that is when we go ahead and then create a comment. But what if the person is not a team member and tries to make a comment? Obviously, this person is not supposed to even see the project. When he or she goes onto the project detail page, they are supposed to actually get an error. That is something that a functionality we are going to implement in the future. But for now, we need a way to check this validation to see if it actually works. So I'm just going to come out of this place where we are making the if condition, and then I'm just going to do else. We're going to show them a message, and then the message is going to be messages dot, and this time around it's also just going to be a warning, and we're going to provide request like we did before. And after we have provided a request, we also need to provide them with the actual message body. So we say you are not a member of this project. Okay, so we are saying you are not a member of this project, and you cannot comment like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna save changes, go onto our dashboard here with our project detail page, and I'm just gonna refresh. I am a member of this project, so I can actually create comment like I have done before. But to test this, I'm just gonna go into our admin page, and inside the admin, I'm just gonna scroll to where we have projects. Again, I'm just gonna come here and check the title of the project, and it's create an admin dashboard. Okay, so let's look for create an admin dashboard. Create an admin dashboard, and it's actually assigned to the Java team. Let me check to see if I'm part of the Java team. And inside the Java team, I'm already part. Gentech is here, so I'm just going to remove myself from it and then click on save changes. Okay, so I'll go back again to see if it actually took effect, and now Gentech is not part. So I'm just going to come here and then refresh the page again. Now I'm seeing the page. In future, we are just going to prevent these people from seeing the page when they are not part of the team working on this project. But we need to test this now, and I'm now going to make a comment. This comment is actually going to be, let me copy something from here and then paste it here. And now I'm just going to click on post your comment. Click on that, and now we are seeing you are not a member of this team and you cannot comment on this project. Okay, I'm gonna go back and then add myself to it, save changes, come back here and then paste the same content, and I'm gonna click on post your comment, and now everything goes through because I'm a team member. All right guys, so if you found this tutorial very helpful, don't forget to like, share, and I'm just gonna see you in the next video. All right, guys, so at this point, we want to notify team members when one of the members makes a comment on the project. So all the team members, with the exception of the one making the comment, is going to receive a notification about this comment. That is a functionality we want to implement. And I think we have already done the hard part already. So when you scroll into project create view, so where we are creating a project, so at this part where we are saving the project, we always send a notification. So I'm just gonna go here and then copy this notification, scroll to where saving the comments. I'm just gonna go down and then paste this one right here. I also need to tap it in like this, and now we have actor username because the create notification task actually requires three parameters. The first is the actor username, the verb, and then the object ID. All right, so we have the actor username, that is going to be the logged in user dot username, and then we also have the verb. So the verb actually is going to be, now it says new project assignment. That's because we copied it from the project create view. Now we need to clear this, and then we're going to say actor underscore full name like this. This variable actually doesn't exist, so we need to create it over here. So that is going to be equal to self.request, self.request.user. By this time around, we're going to do profile, and that is going to drop us into the profile model, and we can now get full name like that. So this full name is just going to be passed to the verb here, and we are saying full name, comma, and we're going to do commented on. Then we bring the project ID like that. Also, we have object ID, and that is equal to project ID. So instead of actually defining object ID here, we can just pick project.id. So I'm just gonna pick project.id and paste it over here, so I can just do away with this. And I think we can also do the same for when we are creating a project, because I saw that there. So object ID is equal to project ID. We already have access to project ID, so we can paste it right here. That's one few optimization we can do over here, and then delete this. That actually makes the number of code smaller. Okay, so let's go back into where we are creating the comments. So we see actor ID, we have the actor username, we have the actor username over here. Verb is also defined, and then the actor full name has also been put over here. I think now we are good to go, and now let's save our project. So I'm just gonna bring up my terminal like this,
check to see if my Redis server is running. Redis is running, and we also have our salary running. So I think we even had some issues already, but let me close this, and then I'm just gonna clear this part and run salary again. All right, so salary has now discovered our task. I'm also gonna close this and then run beat again. Perfect, beat is also running. Okay, let me check my Python server, and my server is also running. So at this point, let's go back into our admin and scroll to where we have our notifications. So I'm gonna go into the notification list and check how many notifications we have. And we have 136 notifications. So we are now going to create a comment to see if we are going to get another notification created. Okay, so let's make a comment like, this is a very nice project. Thanks for adding me. Before I go ahead and then create this notification or create this comment, which is also going to create a notification, this project was assigned to the Java team. So we scroll to where we have the teams, and inside the team, we check how many team members we have in the Java team, and we have 3. But then the logged in user is not going to receive a notification. So that means we're going to have 2 more notifications added to 136. That is going to be 138. So I'm just going to click on post your comment, and we wait, and now the comment is now created. Let's refresh, and hopefully this one should now be 138. So we refresh, and we have 138 notifications. So these people have actually received the notification, but then the logged in user has been excluded from this notification. And that's because when you come into our task notifications, when you come into the notifications where we create the task, we actually excluded those people from the notification. So I'm just going to refresh my page. I'm not seeing any notification. That's because I am the actor of this notification. But for the rest of the team members, when they logged in, they are actually going to receive a notification. All right, guys, this actually conclude part 4 of the series. And if you are already enjoying this series, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'm just going to see you in part 5.